I want to know what your thoughts are about Rachel Notley having a TikTok.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she just got it, and it's like the most flaccid attempt.
All politicians' TikTok accounts are like, it's fucking gross. Like, I don't have a TikTok. You don't have it. No one under the age of 30 or so has a TikTok.
You know, like encapsulates it the best is that Steve Buscemi meme where he's like, "Hi there, kids.
How do you do, fellow children?" Yeah, she's got the like, and they're always doing like stupid dances and like they're about as uncoordinated as you would expect a politician to be.
Jagmeet is clearly better at it than Rachel Notley. Rachel Notley's is like hello, fellow kids.
Hello,
like,
children.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, she's uncomfortable.
So what do you think her chances are in the next election? Because clearly it's going to be a head-to-head between Rachel Notley and Danielle Smith.
Yeah, I think Danielle Smith has got it locked up. So the question is, so you're not going to get any NDPers. Although it depends if you spin it right. If you're like, look, I'm Danielle Smith and like I'm super progressive.
Well, so who do you think? I suppose like because when Rachel Notley won the last the election before last, it was more of like a protest vote than anything else.
It was
like
it was a punishment. Definitely.
Oh, for sure. So. I mean, it's obviously going to be different this go around. Like, who do you think Rachel Notley and the NDP appeal to this time around as opposed
government
to
employed losers from Edmonton?
Like, that's it?
Cushy third generation families in the Calgary Beltline region.
So you like kind of like white urban like libtards in
white
like
women.
And that's it.
White women and that's it.
Like do you think that like the NDP has kind of like lost their steam with like the blue collar worker?
I don't know if they ever had it. It depends on what is uniquely Albertan blue collar. Well,
oil field guys.
Yeah. And like farm guys. And
what about
service
what
guys.
about teachers and nurses?
Yeah, they're not blue collar. they're like to be fair, like a lot of them. The unfortunate part is people who are government employees tend to be politically active, almost invariably.
Okay, so she's gonna be able to get out the vote then, maybe, to at least her base.
Yeah, and they are traditionally more educated on policy kind of things, so they can hone in on like the thing. But Danielle Smith has the thing for her base as well, which is just like fuck off feds. Do you know what I mean?
And I mean the balls may be snipped on that if Polyev gets in. I mean, but maybe not. Like I like what do you think
our election is going to happen before the federal one?
Okay, yeah, I mean and that's fair enough. So she's got that going for her. What do you think the relationship like is going to be kind of like, you know, Danielle vis-a-vis Pierre?
It'll be
like, will it be friendly?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because she's going to get what she wants. He's going to get what he wants.
Here's a more interesting question. What do you think that the future holds for Jason Kenney?
Cheeseburgers. Lots of cheeseburgers. Just grilling.
Do you think he's going to lose the pickup truck as soon as he's leaves Alberta?
I think once you've experienced the power of the F-150,
that it just trails you forever.
He's going to be like, fuck, I could have moved these chairs.
I'm probably going to get an F-350.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I got to he doesn't want to go back to asking his buddy to do a dump.
So do you think he's going to just like settle into like MP mediocrity again?
He will likely get a job greasing wheels.
So do you think he'll ever like, because one thing that I notice about like not just necessarily like failed politicians, but like politicians that are kind of like in the spotlight and then kind of like go back into, you know, like the swamp.
Yeah.
Is they like reemerge again under some other thing. Like, do you remember how Stockwell Day just kept like coming back and you're like, oh, like this guy again?
Yeah. Stockwell Day is fucking McKenna. And like, yeah, these, or McIver.
Oh yeah, well McIver's like a lifelong. I saw him at Wellington's, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, he's like he's a pretty jolly
I
guy.
bet that guy eats the steak all in one bite.
Oh yeah, he doesn't care, man.
Yeah, he's just like, multiple highways. As the minister of transport, like multiple highways have been called the highway of death.
But he's not really like like into obscurity, and then like, oh, and all of a sudden he's like the minister of like toothpaste or something. He's like kind of always in the background. Like McIver's always been around.
He is the bureaucrat kind of gear on which many things turn.
But like when you suffer the reeking stink of like a couple of like really bad runs.
Oh, who's the where is Allison Redford right now?
She's probably dead.
Yeah.
She's at least dead to me.
She's face down in a ditch. No, like where does Allison Redford go after the like, that's an embarrassment. That's if we were the type to carry around torches, like there would have been a gathering of torches and pitchforks outside.
So like one thing that I thought was funny about Stephen Harper is like, you know,
he just like retired to like private
Southwest Calgary or something. Like apparently people like saw him in like the produce department at Sobeys.
Dude, he's in the Northwest. He's in closer to Dalhousie, Tuscany area.
Okay.
And, you know, he's got private security and he's off just like being a citizen, you know?
Yeah.
And every once in a while,
admirable. Like
every once in a while he pops up and he's just like, oh, I don't like all this woke stuff. And like,
and I actually think that that's kind of like a dignified and graceful way to kind of like leave politics. Now, I think the opposite of that is like Preston Manning.
Oh, what's he up to?
He's got some institute. I think there's some other
but
fellows
he wasn't always an ideologue. And what the Reform Party actually did is quite monumental.
Yeah, pretty cool. But then he kind of turned into like just a big boomer neocon.
Yeah.
And it's like he almost kind of played like you know, like he's like a retired like hockey player. Now he's like the coach, right? Yeah. And like he'd always chime in on stuff that in the conservative movement that he didn't approve of. And it's like, dude, like we don't need your opinion. You've done your thing.
That's
like
nice.
Stop.
Yeah. Oh, do we need a reform? Like get the fuck out.
Oh, we need reform. But like Preston Manning has run his course.
He I feel like he doesn't need to exist when Mulrooney. Like when Mulrooney disappeared, Preston Manning didn't need to exist. He existed specifically to kill Brian Mulrooney.
Yeah, and justifiably so, because Brian Mulrooney is a twat.
Yeah, but like, well, that's what took the Reform Party to a fucking idea to the leader of the opposition. You know what I mean?
So do you think that like in a you know like a parliamentary democracy or in like a European you know kind of parliamentary system where there's like a multi-party, do you think that there's like kind of a natural tendency for these like monolithic like duality? I mean, look at the states, right, with the like Democrats and Republicans, and like there's some other parties, but like none of them are a going concern really in terms of.
I think you're either a revolutionary party or you're a counter-revolutionary party, and that lends itself to just degrees on this spectrum.
But like look at like I mean the Greens are like a total joke, but
absolutely revolutionary party. Same with NDP and the Liberals.
What about the PPC?
Counter-revolutionary.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, do you think that there's ever a chance for these parties to grow, or like, because I mean, it's kind of the common conception that like, okay, well, you know, you can't split the vote. Like if you're conservative, you might not buy all their like cans of tricks, but you still have to just support the team. You got to support the team.
Sort of. That's why there's social conservatives, and that's the story of Danielle Smith in a way, because apparently she had a lot of problems with the social conservative portion of the Wild Rose Party. So she was, and like she like that has traditionally been the problem on the right. It was just like, do you outlaw abortion? And most people are realistic to say like, look, it's the law of the land, it's a lost fight, be done with it. And
Well, it's a tough topic, right? Because it kind of goes to the root of like philosophical morality as opposed to like, oh, should we have green bins?
It's either murder or a procedure. Do you know what I mean? Like you can get no further away. It's literally murder or a procedure.
Yeah, and I guess when people are guided by like kind of like religious principles or like fundamental ethics or morality, they take hard lines, right?
Yeah, well, it's an interpretation about what is life.
Yeah, totally.
And you can't get further from some. So a lot of people go like, look, this is a solved problem. We've decided this. This is how the Geist of our nation is. It's a personal thing. It's none of our business. Like, this is bodies and bedrooms and all this other shit. Like, it's none of our fucking business. So we can't outlaw it. We shouldn't basically throw parades for people, but it's none of our business. And this is solved. Okay?
So is Danielle Smith like decidedly libertarian? Because it seems to me that she's like kind of put forward some like bizarre, shocking, like net zero stuff. And
you can't be like, I'm not super, all I know is her social platform is gross.
So what's her social platform? Like, inform me.
One thing that stood out to me.
Would she support the teacher with the big fake tits?
Yes.
So she supports that.
Yeah, but if that teacher would have to take some kind of test or have a note from a doctor, and then she'd be like, well, it's a woman. See you later.
So the latest on this for like people who are like just kind of wondering temporally when this podcast was recorded. So there's this like,
we're in the beautiful fall of Alberta and just cleansed ourselves in the waters of Lake Sylvan.
Oh, it was cold, but
it was pretty cold.
Okay, but here's the whole thing, and I'm more like referring to like the like chronology of this like big titty shop teacher. So
I think there's only one. Well, so big titty shop teacher.
Okay, like so one like world discovers big titty shop teacher. It's basically a man in a wig wearing like
fetish
these
gear.
Like giant fetish prosthetic tits.
Yeah.
In shop class, and so David Menzies from the Rebel like immediately is on site, like trying to get
choppered in.
Yeah, trying to get a whiff of this dude, and he's nowhere to be seen. So like instead, Menzies in like perfect Rebel form goes and like accosts the school principal. He barges into like a board meeting.
I didn't see that. I saw him talk to the teachers union rep or something like that.
Oh, it was amazing. So he went into like a board meeting, and he was the only one at the media table, and he was like firing off these like questions. He's like just going like, is this the kind of perversion that like, and he's just being Menzies.
Yeah, and he was just like he, and then the guy had to correct.
He might have misgendered him or something. And then anyway, so the whole board just they're like, you're out of order. And then Menzies goes, no, you're out of order. and then they all walk out. Like they close down the board meeting and like walk out.
Yeah.
So it's become something of a national story now. Like everybody's talking about it.
It's pretty spicy. People started photoshopping giant fake tits onto Trudeau.
So the next thing that happened is the Ontario minister has basically like weighed in. And he's like, we need to conduct a professional conduct evaluation of this teacher. And that's the last thing that's happened.
Since when?
So do you think, here's my question for you, is because, Menzies is like a pit bull on a poodle when they get a story that is...
He knows when it's showtime.
Oh, and he's awesome. Like, let's be real. I'm one of the biggest Menzies fans on the planet. So Menzies is in there like pit bull on a poodle. No one's been able to find this guy. So here's my question to you: is do you think that this guy is actually, like engaged in like gender expression and everything, or do you think that there's a possibility that this guy could just be the ultra troll?
No, I think this is real. I think it's too. I guess you could say. You could say that this person knew that this would turn into a thing.
Oh, like he obviously, right?
Yeah. But like, where's so like Key Bono?
Okay.
Right? So like this person's name is ruined forever. Do you think there's going to be a reveal where he pulls off the tits and and he's just like, I got you. You fuckers, you fell for it.
Well,
No, because at some point he's going to have to get tested. Right? Someone from some bureaucratic organization is going to set this person. He's no Borat. You know what I mean? Like no one. Or Sacha Baron Cohen. Like he does not have. I don't think he has the stuff.
Okay, well, I've heard
to carry this across the finish line.
And that's a fair point, and I'd actually probably tend to agree with you. I don't think that that's necessarily the motivation, but I have been withholding another theory.
What is it?
That I've heard postulated online, and that's that this guy is basically, he knows how ridiculous this is. He knows that the system is...
That's his fetish?
Or no, like not even that. That basically he's just trying to get a wrongful dismissal lawsuit, or that he's intentionally looking to make a human rights complaint. Because the school is taking
This is a storyline out of MASH?
It could be. Like I'm asking you, like, what do you think? Do you think
That's pretty good.
There's either three things. Either one, this guy's genuine and you know, he's just trying to live his best big titty life.
Yeah.
B, he's a total troll and he's eventually going to do the reveal and make a big political statement. Or 3, he's just, because of how ridiculous the Ontario human rights laws have become, he's just thinks, okay, if I do this and they gas me, I've hit the jackpot and I don't have to teach shop anymore. So of those 3 likelihoods, what do you think is, like, I actually have a feeling that it might be the third one.
It's pretty good. So it's like that guy from MASH who dressed as a woman to try and get out of the army.
Yeah, and they didn't let him out.
Yeah, they didn't let him out. Well,
I forget the guy's name. I know who you're talking about.
So someone's gonna have to. The thing is, he's gotta carry this across the line. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, okay. Just give me a second. So
could you wear giant fake tits for 6 months? It's sort of like, can you throw yourself in front of a car to sue for
but here there's a huge difference between like throwing yourself in front of a car and getting mangled and wearing like a set of fake titties. But here, let me distill this down to the 3 motivations.
Okay. Yeah.
He's either motivated by
just being fetishy.
Yeah, just doing whatever he's doing.
2,
he's motivated by mockery, which would be awesome, I think it's unlikely. Or he's motivated by money, and when you boil it down to like kind of those 3 aspects of motivation, I'll bet you, and I'm probably going to be wrong,
or he's a true believer. Don't forget that.
Well, that's number 1, is he's just a true believer, right? And that this is just his thing. He's living his best life, and
this is how he. Well, no,
we're all a bunch of bigots, and
no, but there's also the like. These are actually like There is a scenario where he's aware that this is like, it's sort of like wearing a fursuit to work, and somebody's like, "You can't. What are you doing? Like, you're a lawyer. Get it together." And you're like, "This is my fursona." Okay, well, and I shit in a litter, like a sandbox in the corner of the room.
So let's let this scenario play out to its extreme. Okay, so you just brought it up. Like, okay, so maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're a doctor. Like, okay, can you wear the big titties in the surgery room? Now here's the next one. Can I wear a strap on and just walk around the city with it?
Yes,
you can.
In Ontario, you can. So, unfortunately, I don't know if you've been paying attention to your laws, but we passed it at a federal level. Our bill C something, I forget which one, but it had to do specifically with gender identity, et cetera, and
like baking it into the Human Rights Code or something.
Yeah. So at a federal level,
there's a difference between.
No. Wait. There's more to this. It didn't set a bunch of limits and laws. It didn't define a lot of things, almost on purpose. And so in those scenarios, it tends to fall to any other board or organization that has made a ruling on this. And the Ontario Human Rights Commission has made a ruling on this. And it has protected specifically gender expression.
Yeah,
This
but it's such an
includes-
ambiguous term, though. It's like
No,
protecting like the right to.
They outlined it. They said things such as dress, accessories. Fuck, they had like eight or 10 points.
I haven't looked at the law, but and that's typically. I mean, so
The Ontario Human Rights Commission is extreme.
like legislation either defines it or the courts have to interpret it and like give it a definition.
This is a quasi-judicial board that has jurisdiction over these rulings.
Yeah.
It's binding, right?
Yeah.
You can appeal it, but it's still...
Yeah, but I mean, when you create a law and you're like, okay, you can't, eat candy, right? So let's say that's like a law. Well, in the statute, there will be like a definition sections. It'll say like, okay, well, candy. Here's what candy means.
Here's what eating is.
Now, if they don't define it, then someone could be like, well, I'm going to like eat, these Pringles. Like they're not candy. They're chips, they're not candy. And then, they might get arrested or something. Then it's the court's function to go, okay, what did the legislators mean when they wrote candy? Did they mean Pringles?
Judge, I'd like you to really think about whether a taco is actually a sandwich or not.
Is it a sandwich?
We haven't outlined it. We got to err on we got to err on the side that
you have to
is.
set the parameters of what fundamentally makes a sandwich.
Yeah. So
is it fillings between like two tasty
two pieces of
containers?
Anything? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess like a tortilla or something is like kind of bread.
Anything you eat with your hand is a sandwich. That's what I'm gonna rule it.
My definition of a sandwich is I guess because like a burger could be is a burger a sandwich?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I guess it is.
It's a hamburger sandwich.
Okay, well, we've like expanded my own personal parameters of like what a sandwich could be.
At some point, judges gonna have to look at someone else who said like, look, anything you eat with your hands could be a lot of shit.
Okay, well, what if you just like pick up a fish out of a lake and then eat it? Is that a sandwich?
It's not. So then we would go, you know what? Let's make an adjustment, but it has to be between two self-same something.
Okay, so like what if you take like two Ritz crackers and put some like
boom,
pate? Sandwich?
Done.
Okay. I can get behind that.
So two things that match with your hand. Now we've got a sandwich.
Okay, so what if you got like a Ritz cracker on one side and then like I don't know like a Weetabix on the other?
No deal.
Not a sandwich, but it's kind of functionally the same thing.
So technically you could have some rye bread and white bread. Okay, so now we're back into sandwich territory.
Okay, so so both sides have to. Well, but look at a burger. Like, okay, it's still like bread, but like the bun is different. Like the top is different than the base of the bun.
Yeah.
So that's a sandwich.
So giant titties are gender expression.
They are.
Yeah. And
is wearing like a giant boner strap on gender expression?
Yes.
Here's another thing. Is wearing blackface, is that gender expression?
No.
Why?
Because it has traditionally never been core to our ability to identify a gender property.
Okay, but now you're playing the judge because that's probably not in the legislation.
I think it is. Now, if you would to say, would any reasonable person say that makeup, which is covered under that law, because they did name specifically makeup, does makeup as a gender expression continue? So like he's got or she or whatever, we're going to call it an it or a they, just so no one goes to jail.
Well, it's a she.
I'm going to say they because I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess they haven't told us. So
no one has told me.
But like, do you see how ridiculous like these mental gymnastics are? Like it's getting into.
But when it's backed up by the law, someone's got to do some backflips, buddy.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. So do you think that Pierre Poilievre's like that? Because he's coming in, he's like, we're going to simplify the language of the law.
Yeah. So that was one of my. So. Does plain language remove interpretation by judges?
No.
Okay. So.
Wrong.
Yeah. Wrong.
Wrong.
You gotta hit him with the trumpet. Wrong.
China.
Wrong.
No, that's
you'd be in jail.
And that's the problem, right? Is like there's been a movement in the courts to like simplify legal documents, but by doing so, you remove the precision of the language that is often required for the interpretation of that language.
Do you think his goal is to have like the rules as commandments, that people can chant, and then the actual letter of the law like still function like in its traditional sense?
This is like it's a more universal and ubiquitous issue. Is languages our best tool to try to, I don't know, like attribute labels to actions and things and ideas.
Yeah.
And it's fallible. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a word in like German to describe something that we don't have in English.
Yeah.
And the best we can do is kind of straddle it with like two other words that are kind of similar, but not the same. Like Schadenfreude or whatever.
Or Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
The spirit of a nation.
And in those cases, we often adopt those like foreign words kind of into our vocabulary. But this is the issue with language in general and like crafting laws around language. And frankly, I don't think there's another way to do it, right? You can't really like craft laws with math.
Do you know what I thought was a real shame that no one ever tried?
What?
Places that you have to wear PPE or fit tested gas masks.
Okay.
Traditionally here in Alberta, you have to shave. You have to shave. You can't have a tight fit on a mask.
Yeah, but that's just like a function of the equipment, right? Like if you get chlorine gas, then you got a big old beard.
Yeah. But it's gender expression.
Oh yeah.
It is quintessential gender expression.
But this goes.
You would as someone with a beard that you literally call a bearded lady if they're. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but this is we're getting back to my point before about like just the absurdity of.
But no one's tried it. I bet there's an absolute fucking get out of jail free card there. Easy. There's a couple $1,000,000 in like. I'm not shaving my beard because it's gender expression.
We can relate this back to our big-tittied friend that is teaching shop in this school, right? Because even though it's, a protected form of gender expression, it does run contrary to like safety kind of considerations where you can't wear big titties around spinning saws.
Oh, okay. So I think it's in the same flavor, and I think you're gonna win that. That's a fucking. Now that I think about it, like, yeah, I'm gonna ascribe motive. I'm gonna go with number 3, which is fucking get on the gravy train, wrongful dismissal.
Okay.
And I'll see you in court, and Ontario Human Rights Commission is gonna fucking trample you.
No. Okay, so we are gonna like bet a steak dinner on this, and I know that in your other bets you guys don't go for steak dinner, but you and I go for steak dinner.
Yeah, no. I've been trying to get that steak dinner to happen.
Okay,
but it just never. Do you know how many Five Guys I've paid? Like,
I love Five Guys.
It's a Five Guys routine. There's a Five Guys on the fucking way in here, and I saw it on my fucking Google Maps. I was like, man.
Oh, I love Five Guys.
I could go
I'll buy a Five Guys or a steak or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Five Guys it is.
Here's what I think's going to happen is clearly they can't go after gender expression, right? Because it's part of, it'll be contradictory to like the position of the school board and the Ontario government. However, it has caused such a stir and such a backlash. And such a public embarrassment. And the courts often do this as well, where it's unlawful to attack the basis of what caused the problem. They're gonna weasel out of it, and this is why I think that it's important. Like when the minister weighs in, and he's like, "Oh yeah, clearly people don't like this big kid shop teacher." Yeah, we better conduct a professional standards review. So here's the whole thing: is I think that they're gonna knock this down. I think
on what grounds?
I think they're going to be like, okay, look, we support gender expression.
Yeah.
However, is unsafe to wear big titties around the spinning blades, or like, because again, if they go into professional conduct and they're like, oh, you're just showing like titties as like a sexual display in front of children, that gets too close to the gender expression thing that they're trying to protect. So my guess is they're going to go, oh no, like, we love these big titties and we love your gender expression.
I love your giant fake titties.
However, it's just not safe. We're looking out for your safety, so you can't do it.
Okay.
I think that's what's going to happen.
They will continue to be a teacher. They just can't teach shop class.
Yeah. And now this is going to have a two-pronged effect.
Everyone gets a win there.
They get except the guy, right? Except or the girl or whatever. Except for big titties,
big titty shop teacher
McGee. Because this whole thing is okay. Now you've gotten rid of the the public scandal of having big titties McGee sheeping teaching shop.
Yeah,
you've protected your contradictory, absurd syntactic.
So we have
nonsense.
Full synthesis. We've had full kind of resynthesis of the ideas. Everybody's happy. Everybody goes home
except the guy. So this is the whole thing. It's not just a two-pronged victory. Okay, so you don't just get to quell the embarrassment, protect your gender expression, circular insanity. Yeah. But also you get to cut off his litigation stance, because instead of him going, hey, you're affecting my gender expression, they can go, yeah, well, we are. However, your safety trumps any of those considerations if it could hurt you. And this is like the notwithstanding clause. It's the same principle.
So big titty geography teacher, only if no longer shop teacher, teaching French.
Okay, now they got a problem.
Teaching geography. And now, but the thing is, if two amateurs can piece this together in a 10-minute conversation, big titty geography teacher had to have thought about this at some point. Like, what if my scam doesn't work?
Okay, well,
then they go off on stress leave is the best they got. Right?
Yeah, well, but that's it. And again, this goes back to the money motivation. Like, I really think that we've actually made a fundamental breakthrough on this story that has not been reported in any other media. Well, someone should give us bucket loads of money.
We figured it out.
Yeah, so
we pulled off the giant fake tits, and there was a tiny man under driving a giant man.
But this is Quaid. Quaid.
Got the fucking Total Recall reference.
Yeah, so
dude,
I don't know.
He was the head of the resistance forces when you think about it. Like that was a general under there.
Okay, no, let's talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, hold on. I think big titty geography teacher then goes off on disability. So mental duress. But then at some point we have to answer the question about giant size F tits. So at some point, some teacher is going to get giant F or G implants.
Like, are we talking biological male or female?
Female. So we get giant fake tits.
Okay, well, I'm sure that there's been some giant female titties in the teaching profession at some point.
And some people said, "Oh, that's unacceptable." So because that's also its own little fetish, right? Like, no one.
But I'd argue that it's different, right? Because well, if you're
in this case, it won't be, because now we're down into
well, when you go in, where do you? Okay, here's a question: where do you buy those? Like those fake titties
at fetish shops?
Is that the only place that you can get them?
Anybody, any fine purveyor of latex prosthetics, will fucking hook you up with a pair of fucking giant.
But
fake tits.
You don't buy them at the gender expression transitioning.
No. I think it's sort of like, where do you find size 13 10-inch heels? There's a purveyor online.
Yeah, but I mean, are they just purveying products that cater to people's cute,
are you saying these are medical devices or fetish shops? I think it's probably a fetish shop.
And that's the defining distinction between the fetish titties and
where
like
you
just some
bought
like
them?
lady who's got like big boobs.
Where you bought them?
Well, one you buy, one you just have. They just come naturally.
No, I'm saying flies down to Brazil or Mexico and gets giant fucking...
Oh, okay. So like implants.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking. Like, my next problem is somebody would go, well, how would this apply to someone who has, you know, I would make the argument, well, if this is unsafe, are you also discriminating against any woman who are naturally or procedurally have tits this size? Because they do exist.
Yeah.
So are they also saying, like, because I know there's no fitness test. I know there's no weight test. I know there's no... Because my shop teacher was fat as fuck.
Yeah. Okay. So this is maybe like another like problematic
so
thing.
Now
okay. So now we've got like a.
Do you want to open that can of worms?
I don't know. Like I think that we're getting into trouble by. I mean, because it's pretty it's arbitrary, right?
I'm just going by like the motives of individuals within the circle of life of this story and bureaucracy. At some point, a challenge was made to, this is the new challenge, like, can you have giant fake tits? At some point, a challenge was like that in the history of this teachers union and this school board and everything else, that someone said, you can't have long hair and be near the bandsaw. And the teacher was like, well, you know, I'll just put it in a ponytail. And they're like, not good enough. No women in the shop. And that got struck down at some point. Like, there's been case law about or internal bureaucratic
like the lineage of like safety procedure.
There's procedure in teaching shop class, and they're like, oh, you don't actually have to operate the bandsaws, so this doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I suppose at some level, someone somewhere is going to have to make a decision, and that's going to have to be the way it goes.
Yeah. So but I think from a school board perspective, like, they don't want to let it go all the way. So now we're back to number 3 is pretty reasonable. Like, it's going to go to the Human Rights Commission.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because well, I mean, because let's just play this out. So let's say like the or the like the minister of education or whatever the minister is that's like, oh, we got to have a professional conduct review.
We need a third party.
Yeah, and so let's say they review it and they're like, yeah, it's not safe. We respect your display of gender expression or whatever. However, it's not safe. That's going to give rise to his human rights tribunal action, which I think eventually it'll probably get appealed to the court, and the court will make a decision.
This is like Jessica Yaniv.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
So what's happening with what's the latest on Jessica Yaniv?
I think we've put the giant fake tits to bed. I think this is going to go to the Human Rights Commission, and the Human Rights Commission is going to rule in favor of and. It's like, we're going to be done. They're just like, well, it doesn't actually present a safety issue because these are giant fake latex tits. No one's going to get hurt.
I hope that somebody fundraises money to file an appeal.
Fuck. Now, it's, I never really thought about whether somebody's just, because my interpretation of this scenario was just someone like wearing a fursuit. Do you know what I mean? And like, also the like whole like,
could you be a furry and teach shop? Like, could you be a teacher and like show up in like furry gear?
You can't.
How about brony gear? Could you come in and be a brony?
You can't.
Why not?
Because it's not protected under the law.
Isn't it gender expression?
No, it's not.
It's not?
No, because it's not on the spectrum of gender. And no one's ruled that it's okay.
Is there like a protection for like sexual preference?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so do bronies, like, I don't know much about bronies.
It's not a recognized sex, or it's not even on the spectrum. If anything, technically you could probably get away with it in Canada.
How do you become a brony?
You get molested.
Is that, are you just saying that, or is that real?
No, I'm just saying that.
Here,
I'm pretty sure.
I want to know one thing.
I'm pretty sure you do have to have autism, though.
To be a brony?
Yeah.
Like, tell me about the brony community. Are they large?
I don't know.
Do they have conventions?
They do.
Okay, now, I know that furries have conventions.
They do.
Are bronies welcome at the furry conventions?
Yes, I suspect.
Are
if they're in costume.
Are they allies?
Yeah, definitely. They're fandoms, and they're persecuted, and they both want to fuck animals.
Do bronies want to fuck animals?
Absolutely, they want to fuck ponies, for sure.
Is that the thing? Is it purely a sexual thing, or is it like a?
No, it's like a comfort thing. It's like guys who like anime. Like it's the same shit. Guys who have like little fucking anime pillows, you know, or guys who have waifus. Like unironically,
what is a waifu? I keep hearing that word.
It's a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional character that represents the quintessential qualities one seeks in a partner.
Okay, so and how does that materialize? So like, let's say I like want a waifu. Is that like,
you get a pillow with that waifu on it, and then you jerk off onto it?
Oh, that's a little more like disturbing then. Like I thought it was just like, okay, so like I go on Steam and I check the adult section and I like buy a copy of like Girlfriend Simulator. Is that a waifu?
You could have a waifu that is in Girlfriend Simulator.
Okay, here I'm gonna tell you a story. So, you know how like on Steam you have like your suggested queue?
Yeah.
Well, on mine, I'm an adult, so like I've got adult stuff on there. I'm like, I'm not turning this off.
Yeah.
Turns out you get a lot of like just garbage, so I eventually did turn it off. But before I did,
there's a lot of fucking
dude. There was a Steam sale, and there's a game called Being a Dick. And I was like, took a look at it, and I was like, okay, it's kind of like a college porn simulator.
Yeah.
And you look through the pictures, and you're like, oh, graphics are actually not too bad.
Man, this is nice.
This is great, and it costs like $5. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a dick, man. I wonder, like let's have at it. And like I checked the reviews, overwhelmingly positive.
I've got $5 and I like to be amused. Let's go.
That's it. So I get in there and I boot this thing up.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and it's a total scam. So you kind of think that it's like, like a wicked like CGI like kind of movie sort of thing, or maybe like a Telltale kind of game.
Yeah,
it's not. It's like static images and like bad text, bad writing.
So it was a visual novel.
Yeah, so let's just say I refunded before I even got to see any nudity.
There's been many a gag adult game purchased among my peer group for Christmases.
Okay, so you got any stories about that? Let's hear.
No,
I like, do you buy them as gifts for people?
You do it to embarrass them. You're like,
so like,
hey, I bought you a game on Steam. Here you go. And it's like,
hey, season 2 of Being a Dick is out.
of my like my 2D waifu simulator 6,
Okay, so is that a waifu? Like, can a waifu be like my I don't know, like a trash bag that you keep under your sink? Can it be anything?
No, then it becomes a strange fetish. So there was that show like My Strange Obsession.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Where like guys are like eating like soap and stuff.
Yeah, but there was also a guy on there who was like, I want to fuck my car.
Is that a real guy?
Yeah, there's a guy, and like there's footage of him like making out with the bumper of like a '78 sedan. He's just like, oh, I fucking love it.
And so he's so into that he went on television and was like, and professed his like thing to the world.
I love my fucking car, and he's like kissing this bumper and like making out with it, and he's like, I fucking want to get married to this fucking car.
So let's dive into like the phenomenon.
There was that bitch that married the Eiffel Tower. There was that guy in Japan who married his 3DS because it had like his waifu on it.
And it was like a girlfriend simulator thing.
Yeah. He's like, this is my bitch.
That's not a lawful marriage. So he had like a fake marriage.
Yeah. Well, but he had a ceremony.
Like he invited his like friends and fam to like.
There was photos of I didn't see the crowd, so I'm not really sure what's going on.
So let me ask you a question. So like, there's this phenomenon of like the e-girl, which is like the headphones, and then like, I don't know, what's that game like Overwatch or whatever. So like, hot chicks dress up as these like these like
the new shit is Valorant, but yeah.
Like, I don't know any of this stuff. I just like, I'll be scrolling on social media and I'll just get these like,
just bitches and cat ears, fucking like, no.
Yeah, just being slutty, basically.
No, so e-girls are a kind of watered down derivative of the cam girl phenomenon. So it's basically like the low effort cam girl
without having to do the deed.
Yeah, without the social stigma also of being a fucking cam girl.
Gotcha.
Because most people don't want to put in the work to be on fucking OnlyFans and show their fucking tits to the world.
Okay.
It takes effort. So if you just sit there and like do your makeup, but here's the thing, it's lucrative, but lucrative to the point where.
So how do they make money?
Usually,
like I get OnlyFans, is it just simps? Like
it's
online?
just simps, but it's selling the girlfriend experience where you are chilling with someone. And they're going about it's sort of like having someone in the room with you.
So does this tie in, do you think, to the Twitch phenomena of like, it is, it's 100%. Basically that.
Yeah. It's the best friend simulator that you kind of have a crush on. And
so it's like instead of like paying $5 and getting like a really detached being a dick experience.
Yeah. You get a live interactive and you can like send them a chat and be like, you're so cute and awesome. And they're like, thanks.
So here's a question, because I find this fascinating. Is this mostly, cause I mean, from just my observations, it's mostly like, e-girls and then a bunch of simp dudes.
Yeah.
Is it ever reversed where it's like a guy, an e-guy, and then simp females? No. For something tells me that the simp phenomenon is like a male thing.
It is a 90 to 80% male thing, and I think only like you have a streamer, I have a streamer.
Yeah.
Like I have my like cam girl for 40-year-old dudes who are like into games.
No, but you're like watching who's that dude that you watch?
I watch Asmongold.
Yeah, so
all the time.
So that's different.
That's my streamer.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I've got like a peculiar fascination with the whole phenomenon of like Twitch. And I see the extension, right? Yeah. Like I know that you get down this rabbit hole deep enough. And yeah, we're getting into like cam territory.
Yeah. No, but like the mechanism is still entertainment and company. There's a intimacy that comes from
interaction, like live interaction.
And it's not just live interaction. It's the fact that that person is with you to some degree for 4 or 5 hours.
But really, it's a one-way experience, except for little tidbits that you get if you tip them or if you like. Do you think that the relationship between the celebrity is different than the relationship between a streamer and their audience?
No.
How?
It's not even. It's the same thing.
It's the exact same.
Yeah. When Tom Cruise acts in a movie,
yeah,
he's acting for you.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I like Tom Cruise.
He's amazing.
I'm not hating. I
love Tom Cruise. Anybody who doesn't love Tom Cruise is a fucking loser.
How does he still look like he's 35, man?
He eats babies.
Has he had like a lot of like plastic surgery?
No, I just think that he treats his health the way he treats everything else in his life. Like
he's a weapon.
Like the most important job ever. Okay? So this man has an intensity that most people are not capable of understanding.
Do you think, I don't know much about Scientology, but do you think that Scientology is tied into that, or do you think it's just, or do you think he's just a motivated?
I think he's a ball of. I think he is godly prototype.
And dudes like Christian Bale, like cut from the same cloth. Then.
Godly prototype. Do you know what I mean? Like too rare to die.
Okay, so now we're down to like, Twitch streamer, like number, up in the charts at like number like 6,434.
Yeah.
Same, but smaller. Is that basically the gist?
Sort of, yeah. But like, why? So, like they're C-list or D-list.
For sure.
But it's sort of like, you ever go to, like you went to the Calgary Expo and you've been to.
I've never been. And this is the whole
You're
thing.
You're a loser,
dude. Because I'm so fascinated with the like socio, I don't know, political or like the sociological aspect of like this whole. Because I mean, this stuff didn't exist in the 70s, did it? I mean, there's celebrity.
Yes, it did. It did. Absolutely did.
So this is a timeless human trait then, like a celebrity
there's
thing.
There's always been nerds, and there's always been people who are famous only to nerds.
Like Scully in the X-Files.
Yeah.
But that's different than like I don't know, like Tom Cruise, an old farmer could like him, and then like, some like young, like hot going concern could just like think he's all like he's got mass appeal, right? So
yeah.
But I mean, I guess the characteristic of appeal is the same. It's just like the aspect of celebrity.
Yeah.
Some appeal only to a small subset group.
Yeah.
And some have mass appeal. Is that the gist?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you remember all those emergency alerts that came through?
Yeah.
For
I do.
The spree murderer and
yeah.
Did you it was about like 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so I don't know, let me take you back. So I was laying there, minding my own business, probably watching a Frasier rerun, and I get this emergency alert. It's like, knife-wielding maniac is like on the loose, like shelter in place if you're in the area. And like I wasn't checking the news. There was something along those lines. I don't remember what it exactly said, but there's no indication that it was in a remote spot on a reserve in
another province
in like the middle of nowhere. And I was like, oh my God, is there like, a guy in elbow? And I wasn't really freaked out because like, even if there's like a knife wielding maniac in your neighbor's house, it's unlikely that he's going to be like, well, I'm going to go get my neighbor.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know, shelter in place. Like, what is there like a maniac running down my street, like stabbing people?
Was it shelter in place?
Yeah, it said something like that.
Okay.
It was like,
stay indoors.
Yeah, it was like stay indoors, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm already indoors. I'm watching Frasier. Like, what more do I need to do?
Yeah.
Like, do I need to go get a baseball bat or something? Is that going to protect me? And then, of course, I check the news and everything. I'm like, oh, it's in Saskatchewan. Like, thanks for ruining my episode of Frasier. I haven't already seen this 8 times.
Yeah.
Like, you've wrecked my 9th viewing of this particular episode.
Yeah. Because imagine you're like fucking and you get one of those.
Well, okay.
Can you go back to like, can you finish the job at 20? Like, no question. This is getting done. But at 40, like, there's moods.
Well,
like
so this would assume that you're like, getting the job done with the aid of your cell phone, and it pops up and like interrupts your.
Yeah, I can get back to work.
Yeah,
I can definitely get back to work.
I don't know. What if it says like knife wielding maniac in your neighborhood, shelter in place?
Well, how close am I?
Well, I don't know. It's ambiguous.
Does it shut down? No, I think if I am in a romantic encounter in that scenario, it's over. Like,
Okay, well, it would depend on the substance of the alert. Like if it was like
missing child,
ballistic missiles incoming. Like this is not a drill.
I
like
can
the
get
Hawaii one.
I can get it done.
Okay, well,
after the missiles, I'd be like, look,
Well, you only got 20 minutes, and then the ICBMs hit. It's like takes 30 minutes for Russians to hit us with ICBMs.
I only need 3. We're done here. Only need 3. You can get the job done. But,
yeah, 2 to 5.
Yeah, just
2 to 5. If it's if it's an encore performance, 5 to 10.
But
if it's an afternoon matinee, 2 minutes is all.
But yeah, no, as a grown ass man, I don't think I can get it done. On like, I would be so pissed that I was interrupted over something so fucking stupid.
What, like the knife wielding maniac?
Yeah, there's a maniac in the loose, like in another province. I would be so angry that I got interrupted.
Well, they didn't tell you that it's in another province. They're like,
I think they did.
Later they did,
but then because they sent another one. Like, don't pick up any hitchhikers. It's like, dude.
So what do you? I mean, that's a pretty like the emergency broadcast, like bug you on your cell phone thing is a pretty powerful tool. So what do you think the criteria should like?
It's a fucking Batman movie. Remember at the end where he was just like, oh, it's too much power for one man to control all these devices.
Is it too much power?
Yeah, because then you get dumb shit like what fucking happened.
Well, I mean, like, if you're in that community and there's literally like a guy going, because he was going door to door getting people. So yeah, I get it. If you're like, okay, we better blast this neighborhood because there's a nutcase, like bar your windows, or like, oh, zombie apocalypse in Calgary, like better alert people. ICBM headed this way. Yeah, like I'd like to know about that. But here's a controversial thing. What do you think about Amber Alerts?
I think I definitely couldn't finish fucking after an Amber.
That's not what I'm talking about. Do you think, like I always go back.
I like Amber Alerts. I don't mind being I do resent being woken up at 3 a.m. for it. But like,
yeah, that's brutal.
Look, like,
do you want to get woken up for an ICBM or do you want to drift peacefully?
Let me go. Leave me be. Leave me be. I've worked hard. The least you can do is let me sleep through my death.
Yeah, because frankly, if it wakes you up and it's like ICBM incoming, I'd be like, oh, like
you fuckers.
Yeah, because now I'm gonna be scared.
Yeah.
Would you be scared if you got an ICBM thing?
No.
Wouldn't you?
What the fuck can I do?
Well, I don't know. You got like 20 minutes to like worry about like the meaning of life.
I'd be more pissed.
Yeah, I'd be a little pissed too.
Yeah.
Be like, who the hell is shooting me with a nuke, man?
No.
What did I do?
No. Why are you telling me this?
Well, I don't know, because maybe you can survive. Maybe if you like, burrow underground.
The time to be prepared for an ICBM was 5 years ago, dude. Like that's
Do you think the hypersonics are faster?
You just can't whip out a bomb shelter unless you've been thinking about a bomb shelter. Like it doesn't.
But there's guys out there that have been thinking about bombs. I've seen them on the Discovery
They
channel.
care, not me.
Okay, so what do you think
those
the
guys
like,
don't
criteria for like alerts should be?
Time sensitivity.
Okay.
First of all.
Okay, well, give me an example. Like
anything that is time sensitive, as in like, those the first 48 principles.
Okay.
Where it's just like we have to let everyone know about this now.
Okay, so that's clearly a criteria.
So can't wait.
Okay.
Time sensitive.
Yeah.
And that the time preference of it, or like the time concept of it, is super high. Like we don't want to tell people there's like, oh, there's been a murder, but it happened 3 years ago.
Yeah. So like whatever.
Yeah. So time, it's occurring now, and people. Second of all, is
like the public safety thing, where like, is the message gonna save more people than it will annoy?
Yeah. Well, from their perspective, some people are annoyed at Amber Alerts.
I get a little annoyed. So it always
I get
reminds me
annoyed
of that
for Amber Alerts in Edmonton when I live in fucking Calgary.
Yeah, it always reminds me of that like Jerry Seinfeld bit, right? When you're at the like post office and you see the wanted poster and it's like, guys wanted, and you like kind of like look at the guy behind you in line and you're like, okay, it's not him. Like what else? What else?
What now?
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, you're not going to remember him.
Yeah.
But you are going to, like, we've turned into such a weird society that you can't just like like start knocking on doors in your neighborhood and you'd be like, have you seen my daughter Alice? Do you know what I mean? Like people, that doesn't happen. Like we're not tight in a community like that anymore. And so like getting the word out on a missing child, I think, is of greater value. But there is a weird dystopian idea of it now where
I'd be curious to know if any Amber Alerts have actually successfully like recovered a child.
I remember the one that went out for the little boy and his grandparents.
I think didn't they end up dying? They were murdered or something, weren't they?
Yeah, they were found in a barrel. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think I remember that guy. That was a weird dude in or maybe he was tried in Calgary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they gotta be at least. I'm okay with it as long as they are targeted in where it is applied.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, it's not difficult because it's a provincial system, right? So they just hit the whole fucking province. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think it's unreasonable to...
Can they not target regions? Can they not be oh, this is an Edmonton one?
Hey, look, man, if you can advertise to people in a fucking region, you can definitely notify people in a region.
Oh, that's what I think too.
But I think they want their cake and eat it too, because I think there's laws associated with it where you can't,
There's certain scenarios because I think it's only the provincial government and probably health and
the other one was
law
RCMP that fed it out, so that's a federal fucking thing.
Yeah, but they asked the appropriate provincial bodies to do. I think I might be mistaken.
So I think this is a jurisdictional issue, and so the lowest rung is province, right? So we don't have a township, we don't have a county, we don't have a municipality. But I think they should be able to very easily chop this up into applicable regions. So phone numbers that are associated with a region could have it applied. You know what I mean? But then you run into scenarios where you're like, well, look, we don't know where they are.
Or I used to have a Montreal phone, but I kept it in Vancouver, and now I'm on a...
Yeah, but the thing is, all those phone bills are associated with an address, right? All phone bills are associated with an address. Otherwise, you don't get a phone. Otherwise, they're just burners. So all phone numbers are associated with an address.
Okay.
All those addresses correspond to what we're talking about, but you could be paying your bill out of Calgary and be up here at Sylvan.
Yeah.
And you would definitely want to have that applied. So instead of actually tackling this problem, fuck it. Just blast them all. I don't care.
I mean, they're pretty rare, right? I feel like I get a couple a year. They're mildly irritating because none of them have ever applied to me.
Yeah.
So here's a question.
But think of how many sexual encounters Amber Alerts have fucking ruined. Think of the people.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, do you think so, or do you think people don't really care? I mean, I
think it's woken up people out of dead sleeps and fucking...
It certainly
We all know
has.
the greatest danger on the road is people who are sleepy, not people who are drunk.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, sleep's a problem. Emergency alerts have led to deaths.
So here's a question. Now that, there's obviously this war in Russia and Ukraine, and we're the doomsday clock is 60 seconds to midnight, and we're on the precipice of bellying up to the bar with a nuclear power.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, do you think
Absolutely not.
You don't think that's a realistic scenario?
No, I know that I actually responded. There was some think tank who was like, given Russians' behavior to its neighbors, Canada needs to focus on its
defense?
Yeah, and that there was some NATO paper that was submitted, and
NATO's pretty hawkish though.
Yeah, they are, because they get to put bullets in their rules of engagement are very, very different from fucking UN, but
and even from Russia's, their nuclear doctrine is different from Russians.
Yeah,
and more ambiguous as well.
Yeah, well, it's just they were like, yeah, Canada needs to kind of step up its shit in the Arctic. And it's just you fucking warhawk pieces of shit. You're not going to do to Canada what you did to the Ukraine. Fuck you.
I don't think that we're going to be rubbing elbows with Russian icebreakers up there. I just don't think there's enough meat on the bones in the Canadian Arctic to really start a conflict.
We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean,
the whole problem with, so it wasn't just NATO trying to rub its fucking balls on Ukraine and piss off the Russians. There's real huge natural gas reserves and oil reserves found
in the Ukraine.
Yeah. And this was not that long ago. Guess what regions they just so happen to fucking go in and liberate?
Yeah, like all the natural gas regions. So do
Yeah.
you really think that this
They're
is just a fight, like a fight over resources?
Yeah, absolutely. No one like why like
I mean, clearly there's going to be a big resource problem this winter.
yeah. Did you follow Kim.com, right?
Loosely, but I'm his number one fan.
I was super weirded out with the whole Seth Rich thing, where he was just like, yeah, Seth Rich was the leaker. I knew, like he's the guy who dumped it all on fucking.
Okay, elucidate. I don't know about this stuff. But
Kim.com put out a tweet who said Seth Rich was the Democratic, the DNC leaker for the emails for Hillary Clinton that showed up on WikiLeaks.
Okay.
That was all Seth Rich. I knew him.
Okay, so what's the significance of that?
Seth Rich was murdered.
But Kim.com is alive.
Well,
they can't stop
No,
him.
because they said it was Russians. And we know that story is now suspect. So that means, because, like this guy named Seth Rich, who was a DNC staffer, is got a bullet in the back of his head in fucking somewhere in some rough neighborhood in fucking Washington.
I've heard this like theory that Hillary Clinton is behind the deaths of like 13 people.
A lot more than that.
Yeah, like I mean,
there's a thing called the Clinton body count or something like that. Like all pretty hard to prove.
Do you think that's real? Or do you think it's just a matter of coincidence?
I
Do you think they're ever going to get Kim.com?
Was the car that drove Archduke Ferdinand, the fact that it looped back on itself when trying to take people to the hospital, was that a coincidence?
Or a mistake?
Yeah. Or just like a happy like a set of circumstances that may or may not have unfolded or been steered towards or whatever. Like all the things that led up to that, the fact that they announced the parade route ahead of time, the fact that they decided to schedule it on fucking Serbian Independence Day, all the confluences of events.
Yeah, well, what do you think? Do you think that was a coincidence, or do you think it was this like
I wish magic was real. Yes, I wish magic was real.
But it's not. You think that it was all planned?
No, the fact that it unfolded the way it did in such poetic fashion.
You think there's an invisible hand behind it?
Yeah, I wish there was an invisible hand, but no, it's just a sad set of circumstances.
Oh, so that's actually what you think?
Yes.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you.
Except for the guy who said, "I'm not suicidal. If I'm found dead, I was murdered," and then was found dead of suicide. Fucking the next week. Yeah. I think that one wasn't fucking. I think that was magic.
Okay, so well, just to kind of like get back to the overview. So we've got like Russia and Ukraine like duking it out. We've got the purported Chinese impending invasion of Taiwan.
Yeah,
and we've got a whole bunch of there was saber rattling pundits being like, oh, we're on the precipice of like World War III.
John Bolton has had a fucking hard on for like 2 weeks straight.
Like just military
just
boner
war
fest.
hawking, just like Iran.
Oh yeah, so what's going on with Iran? Because
man, who knows?
Because isn't there like a new economic like cooperation between like Iran, India, Pakistan, Russia, China?
Yeah.
Like they're forming a bloc.
It's pretty interesting, right?
Well, I mean,
or
from here,
or
in Alberta,
a bunch of fucking schlubs beat a woman to death, and it pissed off a bunch of people to the point where when you start cracking down skulls, like they start fighting back. So like, I don't know, maybe. Or maybe it's being spurred along. Who fucking knows?
The problem is from our vantage point, it's very, very difficult to understand not only what's happening like behind closed doors and the the motivations and kind of the backroom stuff that's happening, but also even just the simple surface stuff, like what's the body count of the Iraq war? Like the Ukrainians are like, oh, we've like killed like 60,000 personnel, and Russia's like, no, I've only had like 4,000 casualties.
That's like 20, buddy. Relax. Yeah, who knows? And they're like, oh, the Russians killed and tortured an entire town, and then Russians are like, no, that was the Ukrainians. Like, who knows?
Yeah, and with this like mobilization thing, there's like Western media's like, oh, no one wants to do it, and like people are searching like how to break your arm.
Oh yeah,
and the Russian media's like, no, everyone's signing up, everyone loves this idea.
Yeah. Well.
Do you think the truth just cut somewhere in the middle?
No. I think there was funny enough, an old Stephen Harper quip about that, where he was just like, Russians pathologically lie. I don't know. There was this pundit remarked on this interaction between Stephen Harper and Vladimir Putin, where he was just like, he's like, yeah, is Canada going to do fucking X, Y, and Z? And he goes, oh, that depends on whether Russia is going to like get its people out of fucking wherever. And he's like, there are no Russians in wherever. And he goes, well, then here we are. Like, I know you're lying. You know you're lying. We both know you're lying. So like, we can't have any more conversations.
So, I mean,
they lie pathologically. So do the Ukrainians.
I just look at it from, okay, we're living in the Instagram, TikTok world now where, I mean, even, everyone all over the world is kind of closer together and becoming like this kind of cyborg, lazy
like
Netflix.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see that, in 1914, will you sign up to save your king? People be like, well, I don't know, like, taking care of chickens is pretty crappy. I'm going to go off on like a grand adventure. So yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
Today, I think like, obviously there's a proliferation of like horrible like war footage and stuff. If someone came up to me and was like, if Justin Trudeau was like, hey, we're going to go and fight the Russians, like, you want to go on a grand adventure?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I'd basically tell them to go and lick away.
And they're like, oh, we're going to conscript people. Like, come and get me.
Yeah, come and get me.
I will kill everyone you send to
conscript me. So I mean, just the common sense kind of, dictates that in Russia, even with like a more authoritarian government or whatever, that if they're like, okay, we're going to send you into the Ukrainian meat grinder.
Yeah.
And like, okay, let's be real. I'm sure that Ukraine doesn't have the best military in the world, but they got some gear now. And, you're some like 18-year-old Instagram kid from like St. Petersburg or something.
Guy who spends a lot of time playing Counter-Strike. Yeah. I don't know. I think they probably have. I don't think they will have trouble finding 300,000, but the question is it actually 300,000? Why would he put out that number? Why not just pull out 1 million? Why 300?
Well, they clearly have 1 million if they need it, right?
Yeah.
But do you think it's even going to make a difference in Ukraine? I mean, and again, this brings us back to the nuclear question, right?
We don't know the objective.
Do you think that it's possible that... like I've heard many different scenarios where we've got just conventional warfare. We've got World War III with like people launching ICBMs. But what they say is like more likely is like tactical, like deployment of
nukes?
battlefield nukes.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's possible in this scenario?
Yeah. Why not?
But do you think that would not escalate into like the bigger conflict? I don't think that it would, because I think everyone has like
the Russians are just going to deny it.
So if they use a mini nuke or something,
well, what about depleted uranium shells and Gulf War syndrome? It just becomes like this.
Oh,
this,
like a Black Ops kind of thing.
Just the plausible thing, and then you can. Thing is, the Russians can just like pull a nuke from wherever.
Use it.
Yeah, and then they just be like, "Oh man, did you see what Iran just did, or did you see what Israel just did?"
Or they could just be like, "Man, did you see our like new conventional high yield explosives that we've developed?
These aren't nuclear weapons." Like it doesn't matter. They won't use it probably, because it brings about the question. Like the thing is, like right now, NATO doesn't it. They're like supporting Ukraine, even though Ukraine is not a NATO signatory, as far as I'm aware. Not yet.
No, they're not.
right?
And they're not in the EU
Yeah,
either.
why are Canadians sending billions of dollars to the Ukraine?
Are we sending stuff over there?
Absolutely, dude. There's Canadian people on the fucking ground right now, just like there was in Afghanistan, dude.
There's like volunteer foreign fighters that have gone over there.
Yeah, and they got slaughtered. The Reddit army, fuck them.
Who, where, and like...
Oh, no, there was a bunch of people who were like Instagram, Reddit fucking losers who are like, we're going to go over there and fight Russia. And like, you know, never to be heard from again.
So who do you think... I mean, because clearly, like, Ukraine's like, we're just slaughtering all the Russians. And the Russians are like, we've basically, like, completed our special military operation.
We've accomplished our objectives.
Yeah, it's kind of like the George Bush, like, mission accomplished or whatever.
Now
like,
watch this drive.
So where do you think the truth lies? Like,
No, I can't. I don't know. All I know is everybody's a fucking liar. Like,
I would agree with that. But, I mean, we're looking not just at, like, a regional Eastern European conflict. We're also looking at, you know, like, the deployment of, like, an American, naval fleet.
Yeah.
Right by Taiwan.
Yeah.
And there's obviously been, like, talk of, like, military buildup. It's very clear. And, like, I don't think it's, like, a questionable that China wants Taiwan back.
Yeah.
Like, that's an old...
But they never lost it.
Well, no, but, I mean... they don't report directly to China, do they, right now? They're kind of like an independent, autonomous region, aren't they?
It's like the two-nation solution or whatever, but, like, I don't know. Like, who knows what is... All I know is you can't trust anything out of any of these areas. Like, information warfare is so fucking strong now.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think, you know, before Ferdinand, do you think people during that period were, you know, on the farm being like, I don't know, tensions are high, like there could be the greatest war we've ever seen?
Fuck no. Dude,
so that's
most people sitting over here on the farm don't give a fuck about dead Germans.
But that's what's alarming, is we could be potentially walking into something that we've never seen before.
Not me.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah,
well,
not me.
If you have but here's the thing: even your fucking Ukrainian flag,
Twitter user,
they're not getting in a Jeep. You know what I mean? Like, they're not getting over there. Canada has one of the
maybe there should be a criteria where if, like, they're like, okay, we're in a war, we got to conscript, they should just grab everyone that's got a Ukrainian flag and force them into combat.
The man with the rifle shoots the rifle. When he dies, the man behind him picks it up. Okay, we don't have the equipment. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the leadership. We don't have the money. We just fought a war.
Yeah, like the global economy is like in the garbage.
We spent more money on it than the World War II, the most expensive one. So we just fought a war.
But aren't these, like, the characteristics of this, like, very similar to, like, the lead up to World War II, for example?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, I'm not an economist, and I'm not really, like, a real buff on, like, you know, like the economy of, like, the 1920s and 30s, but I do get like a, you know, maybe call it an intuitive kind of prickler about.
Look, man, the new iPhone's gonna come out next year. I'm not fighting a fucking war.
And like, man, there's gonna be some new releases on like
Netflix,
Xbox Game Pass.
Like, I don't fucking care, dude. They're like, man, MCU universe, fucking too funny. Like, here we go, new phase of the MCU. It's too comfy, dude. Like, I'm not starving.
Yeah, I'm not starving either.
And I don't. And this whole, like, loyalty to the crown shit, like, fuck Britain. Let them die. I don't care.
Hey, I like the crown.
No, let them speak German. I don't give a shit.
I like the crown more than I like our Canadian parliamentary system.
All I'm saying is I will not tolerate sending Canadians to die for them. Fuck them.
Oh, so it wouldn't be for the crown. It'd be for, like, Ukraine, basically, wouldn't it? Or Germans.
Well, like, the whole, like, Canadians' role in World War I and World War II was out of the fact that we're a fucking colony. Like, you know what I know.
Yeah, it's just like it was just a dominion. So that's okay. So you're talking about World War I. That's
and two.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my God!
But now it would be NATO, which is not too far different because it's just a function of allegiances, right?
Well, then
or alliances.
The reason why I asked you about Kim.com is because he released this. He's like, yo, check out this paper. And I think it was like from the RAND. It was from some think tank. And it basically outlined that this whole thing is a plan to bankrupt Germany. That it's all on purpose and it's all for the U.S. to basically pilfer Germany. Because when you think about it, who makes money in the EU? There's like 2 countries.
Yeah,
they carry
basically Britain, who's not part of the EU anymore.
Yeah,
and now Germany's carrying like
Slovakia,
and
Turkey, and like they don't. So it's a pretty funny kind of idea to think about. But like, ultimately, it's either so obscenely simple or complicated that it's imperceptible.
But do you think like, the simplest answer has to be the right one?
No, no,
never.
No, dude. Like, when it comes to human action, simple motivations, like it's sort of like,
yeah.
Like, do you understand the difference between motivation and intent?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very different things. Motivations are like core compulsions, and like intent is just situationally determined. So it's like my intent was to do this.
But I also have to balance that with the sheer ineptitude of government, who like can't do the simplest thing. So like, complicated, well laid plans.
I don't know, man.
Turn into Hillary email server.
I don't know, but it's like, what the fuck was D-Day, dude? Like, some military shit.
Yeah,
dude, the biggest mobilization of people for the purposes of fucking murder ever. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Somebody sat down, drew that up. Dude, the Germans during World War One, the Germans planned it down to the button, dude. Down to the button. They knew how many buttons they needed. Do you understand how fucking insane that is?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so meanwhile,
well, nowadays it'd be even more complicated than that.
No, it'd be easier.
Well, it'd be much easier.
Yeah, it'd be easier to do, but like the whole, like how many Russian people, how many Russian soldiers, how long will they last? What's the their fucking nanomachine readouts of like what's their morale going to be like in 2 weeks, and when do we have to ship them back?
It's like some Metal Gear shit.
Nanomachines.
So do you think? I guess shifting gears here, moving to secret military advanced weaponry.
Yeah.
And we're not talking like bipedal Terminators or anything, but we're kind of talking, those general ideas.
Yeah.
In terms of military capability, do you think that Russia's, I mean, I look at it and I kind of go, and again, I'm just reading the news and kind of watching around. I'm kind of going, okay, big, bad, scary Russia. Yeah, some of their shit's not working properly.
So
things aren't going to plan.
Putin apparently dressed down the arms manufacturers, the Russian arms manufacturers. But look, the shit that Ukraine's going to get is fucking off the hook. Okay,
well,
we're talking we're talking hunter killer drones, dude, suicide bomb drones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, obviously nobody knows, but it's kind of an interesting topic for discussion. Do you think that? And I guess I'll pose this question to both the Americans and the Russians. Do you think that these guys have military capabilities that the world doesn't know about?
No, absolutely not. If the
secret how Hitler was developing.
You could make the argument that there was some weird shit going on in Donbass with underground chemical biological research labs.
Yeah.
But those are all collaborative. The thing about them being collaborative is everybody fucking knows about them. So there's one thing that I absolutely fundamentally believe in this world that you cannot doubt.
What's that?
And that is the might of the U.S. military. It is the motive force.
Yeah, so it's a beast,
of our
but
reality.
Do they have a fox die where they could target like Putin and just like wipe them out?
I think
Like that's not totally implausible, right? Like
I mean, it depends. So it's just like, it doesn't matter your weapon. Doesn't matter if it's like a drunk bum with a fucking
an avenging angel
with a beer bottle or
we call those avenging angels.
yeah, or a tungsten rod that they drop from space. It's still, can you get away with it? Nothing matters except that which you can like get away with.
Well, like look at the like radiation poisoning of these like ex-Russian like expat guys who are in the UK and stuff. And,
oh, you have cesium poisoning? How
like
strange.
I've just been reading about like, you know, like some like higher up like a Russian weapons manufacturer. Oh, he just fell out of a window of a hospital.
Oh, he was drunk.
Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, do you think that's total disinformation, or do you think it's real? Or
oh, it's probably real, but like, you know, people being found in suitcases in their hotels, like, yeah, there's weird shit going on, but like, yeah, they're just not as elegant as the CIA or maybe the MI5 and 6. Like,
so, like, upon what basis do you think that the military might of the U.S. is founded? Do you think it's just like, you know, we've got the Abrams tank, and it's like it's just a better version of like the Sherman, or do you think it's like, we don't just have the Abrams, we got a fucking Terminator?
No, what they have is force projection. They have the ability to put an insane amount of ordnance wherever they want to put that ordnance for an extended period of time.
Well, you could argue that the Russians and the Chinese could do that.
They have one type of ordnance that they can put in a specific, and China definitely can't fucking do it. Go look at those border skirmishes between it and India and tell me whether they got they got the good shit. Now they could, thing is, they can steal shit from Cisco and Nortel. But can they steal shit from like, you know,
like the NSA?
Yeah. Can they get the good stuff?
Well, I don't know. Is the NSA still using Windows 98? I know CSIS is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I think it is the motive force of our world, and to try and bet against it is a bad fucking idea.
Well, I think so too, but like this is where like the nuclear counterbalance comes into play, right? Where if you're like, you know, look at like Kim Jong-un, right? Like, I mean, he's basically like leading an army of like chimpanzees that just came out of the jungle.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, okay, well, like let's just make a doomsday device where if you get me, I'll get one of you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like they don't really. So like,
why haven't they gotten rid of him? I mean, there's no benefit to it. Is that probably the main reason? Is if you whack them, it just opens a power vacuum, or
well, yeah, and if
there's a big threat, obviously.
If anything, all he does is bleed resources off of China in a way. You know?
Oh yeah, so he's kind of like the drunken uncle at your wedding that you don't want there.
Yeah, so like to the point where like when North Koreans escape to China, they send them back. Here you go. Actually, you know what? Remember that fucking Vice guide to fucking where he fucking went to those labor camps in Siberia?
Yeah, that's North pretty Koreans. Crazy.
Pretty crazy shit.
Kind of look like Athabasca.
Good God's country. I don't know. I think it's too complicated, and there's just weird shit going on, and it's so.
I agree. So like we can't predict the future. But I always like to like kind of do the war games thing, like, you know, play out scenarios, kind of like we did with the high school teacher, and go like, okay, what's the logical like conclusion of this? So
yeah,
and you know, it's been done on other episodes of this podcast where you're like, okay, so you know, here's like
I think they're just gonna drop him.
Drop who?
Putin.
You think eventually he's gonna get snuffed?
Yeah, he's got to get dropped. But it's gonna.
Is it gonna be like, yo, home, you just chilling? Like, what, you want to get dropped? And the guy's like, what? I'll kill you, man. And you're like, no, you want to get dropped? No, you want some eye drops? I'm just talking about eye drops.
No, I think what's going to happen is, why not accomplish all the goals that you can? Let's from America's perspective, they're like, let's bleed out Germany. Let's destabilize all of the European countries. Let's destabilize everything and keep us stable, because at the end of the day, they're all competing.
Well,
they're not cooperating.
But here's another thing: is look at the cultural destabilization in the West.
Yeah.
Right, and this is real similar to, Mao's Cultural Revolution. Like, they're tearing down statues, and like, you got big titty shop teacher that wasn't there before, and like,
revolutionary and counter-revolutionary forces. That's pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of a universal thing. I guess that's kind of happening everywhere. Like, the authoritarian can be challenged by, like an Arab Spring, and, like the traditional education system can be challenged by a guy with big titties.
Dude, he's got to be so embarrassed. It's sort of like...
or do you think he's just loud and proud?
Maybe.
I mean, dude, he's out in public. He knew this was going to be a worldwide story.
Yeah, there's no way he didn't know.
Like, it almost makes you think, like, there's an element to me that's like, okay, how far, so they're letting this guy get away with it. Can I make a statement by doing something even more retarded?
Yeah. Yeah, they do it all the time. Dude, there's professors at universities advocating for pedophilia.
I've heard about this. This is like the whole groomer thing with that James Lindsay's been like, he got kicked off Twitter for that, didn't he?
New Discourse is like the greatest resource for any counter-revolutionary.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
James Lindsay is he's a weapon. But here's one thing is and Jordan Peterson, he's kind of like a polarizing guy. Like, a lot of people, it's kind of funny because, like, a lot of people, whenever you get big in a particular movement, there's other people in the movement that are like, I don't know, man, he's just saying it wrong, or like, oh, he's just like a pundit now.
I have difficulty. I'm not sure if he's a grifter or not. I think he has good intentions, but he has grifter tendencies.
James Lindsay does not strike me as a grifter.
No, he's not. No, I'm talking about Peterson.
No, I know you are.
Yeah.
But the delivery by Peterson seems to be more effective.
Yeah.
I mean, and James Lindsay, to his credit, because he's a rigorous academic.
Yeah.
And he gets in deep to the theory.
He's done the work.
He's done the work.
He's punished himself.
But don't get me wrong, Peterson's done the work too.
Yeah, but like, he's still worried about how bad Nazi fascism is. He's not talking about the fact that there's linguistic tricks being played on people and they have no idea. Oh, he is.
He was the guy that he basically started the whole thing with the pronoun thing. That was before Lindsay.
Yeah, but like, he didn't tie it into he didn't explain that it's on purpose. Do you understand? Like, he said, oh, these people want to do these things. But he never explained why. Lindsay explains why.
I completely agree. But I don't think that they're...
Because he understands that if you let people draw their own conclusions on why, and you don't fill in the blanks for them, they'll buy your 10 more rules for life. I don't think he's a bad person. But he just has grifter tendencies.
Well, he's a business guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's another thing. As a capitalist, how can you fault him for that? I mean,
there was a bunch.
He's doing good work and he's making some cash.
Yeah.
James Lindsay's doing good work, but he just doesn't know how to make the cash. Like, True. He doesn't strike me as and maybe it's altruistic motivations, but
no, I think Lindsay is fucked because he's autistic enough to just be like, I have no choice. And enough people have pushed back on him that he's become like, oh, really? Well, yeah, guess what? You guys all technically advocate for pedophilia, in case you're not aware of it. Here's your doctrine. Here's your ideas. Camus was a pedophile. Like, here you go, get fucked. And
that's not a straw man argument.
no, like, it wasn't Camus. Maybe it was Camus.
No, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate, but like I listened to New Discourses, and it's dense.
Yeah,
I mean it's dense.
Yeah, you got to get in there.
Like,
dude.
I can listen to Peterson at 1.5 speed.
Yeah.
I can't listen to Lindsay at 1.5 speed. It zaps my noggin.
He's a weapon. So,
well,
I think the better person to listen to is Curtis Yarvin.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. You're going to go and you're going to listen to Yarvin. And you'd be like, this dude.
Well, my question is he as interesting to listen to?
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Is he as interesting to listen to as Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Oh.
How about
billions and billions of times?
I you know what, for what he does and like what he is, like his politics aside,
he used to be a pimp. He's fucking badass.
I don't know. I just think he's like he's like a.
I've lost a lot of respect for an awful lot of people over COVID.
Well, of course.
Bro, do you see Bill Maher, good old boomer liberal fucking Bill Maher showing up on the Aaron Rodgers podcast?
No, but I did.
Pretty sweet. I
did catch the very one of the last episodes of Get Off My Lawn with Gavin McInnes. He basically plays like, some old like Bill footage from back in the day, which is like totally politically incorrect. He's like kind of slamming women in the house and like, make me a sandwich, like kind of the classic routine.
Yeah.
And then he's now got a Netflix special, like the Live at Red Rocks thing.
Yeah.
And so McInnes, kind of does this green screen thing where he like plays it and he's like sitting there and he's kind of like critiquing it as it goes along. And it is terminally unfunny. Like, it's this new like liberal comedy because you can't do anything that offends anybody.
Unless you're Dave Chappelle.
Does he care? Like, didn't he get like...
He absolutely cares.
Didn't he get like trans like attackists coming to attack him?
Yeah, he did.
And was he like...
Somebody rushed the stage with a knife.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But he spent half of his last special talking about, look, dude, I'm an actual ally here. Here's another person that I knew that was trans. She was awesome. I loved her. She was funny.
So
like, I was friends with them.
The left always says, like, because when people are like, you're racist, and you're like, oh, I got a black friend. People are like, oh, that's like
tokenism. Yeah.
Or you're like, you're a transphobe. I'm like, hey man, like, my hairstylist is like trans. Like I like, I'm a proprietor of like a trans business or something. They're like, no, you're in denial, or it's the tokenism or whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I think I don't think you're all the funny comedy right now is
right-wing memes that just like make fun of the left relentlessly.
Whoever has the better memes is the counter-revolutionary force. You know what I mean? Like they're like, you remember liberal comedy in the 90s was like, it was the shit.
Was it?
Yeah. Dude,
I'm not a big like comedy guy.
It was the counterculture.
Okay, so we were kind of talking about this like off air earlier, but it's my general take that because of the ambiguities and the language game and like the feel good, like, oh, we just want to like help the environment, but like without any concrete substance behind it.
Yeah.
Somehow this has been wildly effective at not only like recruiting young minds to it, like, there's this obviously like infection of like academic and like not just academic, like medicine, law, you name it. And it's pretty effective. Like we now have a teacher in Ontario with big fake titties and that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
and people are going to go to the mat over this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, and
precedent setting cases.
And what I see is, James Lindsay, and guys like him, they've got the answer, right? They're like, you actually need to drill down and expose the platitude bullshit for what it is in order to debunk it or in order to, but again, the problem is that, you know, some young kids like, oh, I just want to watch like Jag Meets like TikTok about like how, you know, like capitalism's like getting me down and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't really want to listen to like a 3-hour podcast with like an academic telling me about like, you know, how this stuff is all rooted in like Marcuse and like, you know, Marx and stuff. So, I mean, I guess, and like, you know, Rothbard even had, you know, kind of like a chapter about this, and you know, Hoppa's got some, you know, some theories, but what do you think is the best strategy for liberty? Like, you see what
memes.
Yeah. So, and I agree.
So there's that guy running for Senate in New Hampshire. I forget his fucking name, but he's put out these beautiful videos.
So comedy is the answer. Is that
culture is the answer? Comedy, movies, films, TV shows.
But like, look what's happening to films. Look what's happening to music. Look what's happening to media.
When was the last, like, and that's the other thing, like, I had this conversation with a buddy of mine and be like, what is punk anymore?
Machine Gun Kelly. Not.
Like, even Gavin was, you know, like,
dude, he is still punk rock, man. He's an old punk rocker.
Yeah.
And he's, and,
but like,
and another thing is that the reason why he's punk rock, love him or hate him, whether you agree with him or don't, and like, I don't know, like, you know, I like him because he's funny.
Yeah.
I'm not like a follower. You know, I mean, he's got this thing where like, you know, you got to have kids or you're just like a total degenerate loser. And like, I don't know.
I'm not going to take degeneracy sermons for someone shoving dildos up their ass.
Yeah, like I mean, but whatever. At the end of the day, what makes Gavin punk rock is that he's unapologetic. And if you don't like it, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's punk rock.
So,
and that's going away. Like, do you think Machine Gun Kelly has ever told anyone to fuck off?
Maybe. Somebody who got his order wrong.
Yeah, or like the person at the Gap that like didn't deliver his like full order. Okay, like maybe that's a bad example, but
I don't know. Like, do you like when?
Like the counterculture is coming.
What do you think was the last cultural music reaction? Like, what was the last type or genre of music that lent itself to a ideology?
I mean, like, it's hard to pin down because like it's more what comes to mind, and I feel like it's like the grunge from the 90s was like a big change from like the polished, you know, the polished like super pop, you know, kind of like hair metal and all that to grunge. But that's just what pops up in my head because after that it was like new metal and you know, like that was a global phenomenon. Like people love Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
You know, do people still love Limp Bizkit? I don't think so. But people still love Nirvana. You know what I mean?
All I know is there were riots in Vancouver at a show because DaBaby didn't show up.
Who is DaBaby?
It literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, so this is the problem in asking that question is you and me are old.
Yeah, but we listen to a lot of music, dude. I listen to a lot.
But we're nerds.
Yeah,
that's the problem, right? So, like my first impulse was like, oh, synthwave, man. That's the newest thing to like take over because of Stranger Things. But it's not. Nobody cares about synthwave.
Maybe, but I do think that retrowave and synthwave are a reactionary.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a reactionary genre.
But I mean, there has been a popular resurgence, and like I'm not talking like just nerds sitting around listening to it. I'm talking about like in mainstream culture, rock music is coming back. Like people are listening to, and it's not the same. Like it's not the rock of the '90s or the rock of the 2000s. Yeah. It's, I mean, there's new rock. And like I don't know, like Machine Gun Kelly, like it's that crap, man.
Maybe like, what did you think of like the?
But I'm not a part of that.
The revolution of like the garage band or the garage rock of the
like the Weezer stuff. That's
no.
just
I'm talking about like after new metal, there was nothing left to sustain rock itself.
Yeah,
and,
rock imploded.
Yeah, and so then all of a sudden you had a like
that was the rise of EDM. That was what came out of that was EDM.
But like then the white like the Vines and like the
that
like,
stuff was like it's kind of started to fade into the distance, right?
Those
so like you got the Black Keys and like there's still some like rock fans that are like da 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 da.
Yeah, but like Queens of the Stone Age though. And they've been at it, This
is a problem is with music, it totally depends on whether you're kind of looking at through the lens of like, what's on Billboard, which I think is like totally manufactured. So it's pushed by the record companies. There's the big three, or it's like, what's materially relevant to the weird guy or girl that you're talking to, right?
I don't know. It's like what's popular on. I think that SoundCloud is actually a better indicator.
SoundCloud's dying, man.
It is, but it is the most. It is the most popular self-publishing format.
No, now it's TikTok.
That one must exert energy to retrieve.
Disagree.
No,
disagree.
So more people people post their shit on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily.
How do I go? Yo, check out my band.
People, anybody can post to Spotify used to be like a closed platform, like all the big distributors. How do I
find music on Spotify?
You just look it up, or it's algorithmic. I'd actually say that
does it accurately kind of show like, because I know
shows metrics.
Spotify was pretty good at showing like other artists that are in that.
And it's getting better. And one thing that I really like, and like I'm not trying to like advertise Spotify. I don't think they deserve it, but I mean, one thing that I really like is like on SoundCloud. SoundCloud was big with like upcoming rappers. Like that was the biggest thing, and like kind of like weird stuff that like you'd send a link to somebody.
I remember finding the best chip tunes on SoundCloud.
Yeah, so like I don't know, for indie people that just wanted to, because this was also before things like DistroKid or CD Baby, where they got these like distro relationships with like Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah,
it's been democratized now. So I think, and I read somewhere, I'm totally not on base, but I think that like 95% of like stuff on Spotify has like 100 monthly listeners. Like it's just this big database of nobody cares.
So why do people
like Lord Nikon? Like he's a perfect example of like your typical.
What is it about the synthwave scene that attracts soy boys?
I have no idea.
Here's the thing. Anybody can listen to that music. It's pretty disposable for the most part. But anybody can listen to that music and just be like, oh yeah, Stranger Things.
I don't. So here's my theory.
Yeah.
Is the soy boy or cuck mentality, as I like, the Cuxton Trudeau mentality, as I like to call it, is not endemic just to synthwave.
Okay.
I think that because we've got this like cultural attachment to this stuff, and I mean this, you can relate this to like the virus cult or anything, where it's so mainstream now that if you're divergent from it, you're almost at a disadvantage. And what I see, and and just from my experience in kind of watching not just synthwave musicians, but all musicians, is and in businesses, like, well, hey, come to my business. I'm diverse and I'm inclusive. Like people use it as a marketing tactic.
So
to show that you're in the club and that you're an ally and you can be listened to.
So it's just a competitive.
I honestly think it is.
So it's just about cutting out like, oh, this guy makes good music, but he's also like, oh,
he's a Nazi, so no one can listen.
I don't see any pronouns in that fucking.
I mean, here's the whole thing: is you don't see big musicians shooting down at Lord Nikon.
Yeah,
I mean, but you always see, and I mean, this is very much like kind of the cancel culture thing, right? Is where you see someone that's like, jaded and basement dwelling in the glow of their like their
mid 40s,
their 486 that they haven't upgraded in their basement, making like bad music on FL Studio like 1.0.
Some great music has been made on.
Hey man, I'm not hating, but just some angry dude that has been working his life away on music nobody listens to and nobody cares about.
Yeah,
and it's a sense of entitlement. I just saw a tweet online.
I personally think there's something beautiful about that, but
hey, there's nothing wrong with it.
But I also listen to chiptunes.
Yeah, but but that's not what I'm talking about. That's who cares if someone makes music and no one listens to it? I think that's amazing. It doesn't matter. And the enjoyment of music is totally subjective. There's like kind of objective elements and stuff. Like if you're looking for chiptune, you're not going to be listening to like Turbo Polka. You know what I mean?
Yep.
However, I think that if you're not just making music to make music, and we know a musician that's very much like that, where the numbers don't matter, it's all about the process. And there's something beautiful and creative about that and yada yada. But if your goal is to have numbers and no one cares,
that's a matter of
it festers and breeds this bitter resentment.
Do you think that is more likely? Let's just call this the trial of Lord Nikon, because it's all the attention he's ever gonna get, and the best part is he's never gonna hear it. But for as a concept, because as you were speaking about it, I wondered if it's only this, like, the smaller the subculture, the easier it is to dominate.
I totally agree with that.
And so, because this happens in like
hyper pop
people, but like other subcultures, like, oh, we gotta kick all the Nazis out of our board game fucking community, or like, oh, we got to get rid of all the
transphobes in our D&D group on Sundays.
Yeah, and or like the Western region of people who play original Vampire the Masquerade.
Exactly. So if you're like in the Calgary music scene, for example, and you're like, I got to get rid of all the Nazis.
Yeah.
Well, okay. First of all, I don't know if there's any real
no
Nazis.
There's no Nazis.
So you're kind of on a ghost hunt, but. I mean, there's a ton of musicians. It's an insurmountable goal. But if you're in, like, I don't know, like Northwestern, like electronic polka with a swing, there's probably like 6 musicians. So if you're like, oh, I'm gonna take down this other guy because he's a Nazi.
Because I often wonder if
synthwave is a big thing though now, like
synthfam.
Yeah, and my experience is synthfam used to be kind of interesting because it was more like people discovering this music together, where now it's this club. And if you don't fit the mold or if you don't toe the line, then you're not part of it, and people try to take you down. I actually think synthfam is like super lame now.
And I can speak on it a bit because I do know multiple people in that genre produce that kind of music, and but it does seem rife with personalities that seem to
want to be on the same they want to be on the team.
Yeah, like even down to the like label loyalty and like the granted, you put 4 musicians in a room and it's like you're gonna have drama within 10 to 15 minutes. Like,
yeah, it's like a bunch of juveniles.
Well, yeah, it's not like this weird empty hole that they have. Especially when they crave attention or recognition, because there's enough that can just go like, look, I make this type of music. Some people dig it, some people don't. I enjoy this craft. I like to make this noise or these sounds, and I like to compose and create.
Well, so here's the whole thing.
Other people go, I like making people happy, and this is a mechanism for me to do that. And if they don't get that exposure, then
that's what breeds the resentment.
They don't get to make those people happy.
Well, so I'm a musician.
Yeah.
I do it because
condolences.
I want to make people happy.
Yeah.
And I want to share. Well, first of all, I do it to make myself happy. But I take great pleasure when other people share or get to, or I should say maybe enjoy the same brand of happy that I get from my music. There's something fulfilling about that.
Okay.
But if nobody listened, I'd still be doing it.
Okay.
I might get a little, and like I can see myself going like, man, like I'm super excited about this. Why does nobody else care?
Yeah.
But and I mean when no one's listening, it's probably easy to take you down, right? But the mechanism for overcoming the Lord Nikon quotient is to just kill it with numbers. Yeah. And I mean, frankly, you can get to a point where, people are listening. They're not listening because of your political affiliation. They just like the music. Yeah. And there's so many of them that even if, there's someone waving a flag and being like, oh, this guy said something that I don't like. Yeah, you might lose like a couple of losers that, are willing to deprive themselves of something that they might otherwise enjoy because of their political, hernia that they're having. Yeah. The sheer numbers of people who are just enjoying it. Rage Against the Machine. They've got some like communist undertones. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I used to enjoy them. I wasn't a communist. Yeah. Can you separate the rage from the commie? I don't know. This is kind of the question. Does music have does it have politics kind of as part of its fabric, or are politics the interpretation of the listener that are kind of imposed on or imprinted on their interpretation of the music? I know that's I'm not really saying that right.
Oh, but. No. So like it has to do with the separation of the author and the book.
And the work.
Yeah. So like, remember, it was not that long ago. I remember there was a video game for the X360 arcade, Shadow something, and it was because it was written by an amazing science fiction author, Orson Scott Card. And he had recently gotten in a bunch of shit because he was like, I don't like the gays. And they're like, this guy's a homophobe, get him. And Orson Scott Card wrote fucking Ender's Game. It was an amazing book. It's an anti-war book.
Okay.
Like it was about the Vietnam War. Basically training up children.
But he said some non-contextual, like, I'm like not a big fan.
I think he had expressed and even written some stuff that was anti-gay, or and again, I'm pretty fair on these things and was pretty unequivocal. He was just like, I don't like gays. Just like, okay, cool, whatever. It's none of my business.
I think I mean,
so like, yeah, it was it all the way down to, we have to boycott this game because it's written by this guy who doesn't like gays.
It's like the whole thing against like the quantum dream, like the guys who did like Become Human, and I love all those
Quantic
games.
Dreams,
yeah, totally. Apparently he's like a misogynist or something, so like they'd like want to kill him or something. But,
I don't know. That is extended. Although there was some guy who they shut down a fucking team that was associated with, I don't think it was G2. It was some guy who had his photo taken with Andrew Tate. And they're like, fucking take that down. And he goes, you don't tell me who I can fucking take photos with. You don't tell me what I can post. And they're like, okay, cool.
You're off.
Your organization, the team that they sponsor, they're kicked off the fucking league. That's how poisonous Andrew Tate, just to be seen with him. And to, to stand up for the right there, you're like, you don't get to tell me who I can or cannot be seen with. And they're like, dude, that's literally Hitler.
Yeah, that's Hitler. So this is and to be fair, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But this is the insidious nature of cancel culture.
He's not a good guy.
Who? Andrew Tate? I don't know anything about him.
Neither do most normies.
Oh, okay.
But he's like this weird.
Am I a normie? I am a normie, right?
You are shockingly close to normie stuff when it comes to internet culture. However, like to know about.
I'm base though.
Yeah.
So can there be base normies? Yeah, I guess there can.
Jordan Lee Peterson is a base normie. No, there's tons of base normies, but it's just like even being seen in the room with someone.
Yeah, but this
and standing up for the fact that you don't get to tell me who I can or cannot associate with at a fundamental level. I don't care about their beliefs. I care about you telling me what I can or cannot do or say.
Yeah, but we're missing the point entirely. So this is, like we're talking about before with James Lindsay, this is the insidious strategy of the left to silence not just the idea that they don't like, but the whole, whoever came up with that idea and all of their shit. Basically saying, oh, this guy's racist. Nothing he said. He's irrelevant now. Yeah. We're going to unperson him.
Progressive intolerance.
It's not even progressive because it's just outright intolerance. It just zaps guys.
Well,
like one time when you were like 13, you like swore at you swore at somebody. Oh, you're done. Like you're unpersoned.
I guess in many ways it denies. So there's two things that I think about. Is like, why the fuck does this apply to the synthwave scene? How? In what way? Like, does it foment?
This happens. I mean, there's been.
That's why I find it's sort of like wielding the power of the state or the justice of the mob.
Well, the justice of the mob. There's not really like a state like actor that's like governing synthwave, but there is a mob.
Yeah. So, but like,
and if you anger the mob, here's the whole thing though. Is again, it goes to numbers, right? Is collectively the synth fam political mob.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to them. They're very loud on Twitter, but like if you go and look at the metrics, no one's listening to their music.
Yeah.
No one's listening to their music. So like one of the artists that they try to take down has more listens than collectively the whole like tribe of like neckbeards on Twitter trying to take him down.
Yeah.
So,
but it just seems so weird to wield these tools against.
Well, this is again this is the problem with Twitter, right? Is like, a guy like Lord Nikon looks like he's somebody on Twitter. Like you can't see that he's only got like 100 monthly listeners. You got to go do digging to just your average person that's scrolling through their feed. They're like, oh, this guy's like a big, a synthwave artist.
All
like,
he talks about is this, and
all he talks about is synthwave. He must be big in the scene. And look, he's like, he really hates this guy. So clearly this guy must be a dirtbag.
Yeah.
But I do think that on the balance, I actually think that people are kind of sick of just the crybaby culture and when I look through my feed, if I see somebody complaining, it's an immediate turn off, and I'm like, I don't know, like I almost just block complainers because I'm so tired of listening to them.
Who's that fucking loser who started her podcast that we used to like look at? Titty.
Oh my god. But there's a huge difference between Lord Nikon and Titty.
Not to me.
No one's listening to Lord Nikon.
How many people have you checked her
I haven't checked her stats, but she stopped doing her podcast. But she's
shocking.
She has like 10,000 followers on Twitter or something. And I don't know, like who cares? Like, I've got more followers on Instagram, but my engagement isn't like she's got engagement of like other crybabies who, and this is another thing is and maybe I'm not, because these feeds are so distorted. When you see like, somebody kind of, going after, maybe the left or like some like ridiculous kind of like cultural Marxist views, you don't necessarily get a big gaggle of fellow conservatives that are like, yeah, that resonates with me. Like conservatives just don't seem to care, or they're not on Twitter. Whereas when, you have somebody like Titty saying, we haven't put enough money into healthcare, this is an affront to humanity, you get the laundry list of other mentally ill nutcases that are putting in their 2 cents about every anecdote that they can come up with about that issue.
See, I was thinking about this the other day because a lot of conservative people are very upset about the idea of the woke Twitter mob. It's just like, well, then why aren't you on Twitter? Why don't you have your own mob? They're like, oh, because I'll get banned. It's like, make another one. Make another one.
Well, so they've got like Truth and Getter and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
and
fuck them. Fight them on the beaches, buddy. Like, get in there.
Yeah, but you can't get in there on Twitter. They gas you.
Yeah, so don't say anything that will get you fucking gassed.
Yeah, but this is why the battle isn't fair. Is the left can... it's contradictory, right? There's no criteria. The left can call people Nazis, but if you call somebody a groomer, you're off.
Yeah. Well, here's the beauty of fucking memetics. The next groomer word comes along. Nazi has meant nothing for 20 fucking years.
Oh, groomer means something.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And it's potent.
Yeah, dude. It's enough to but like even correct arguments about things. You'd be like, look, when I call you a retard, I don't mean it in like the physical sense.
Yeah, but that's what gets you blocked. Wojak won't get you blocked.
Yeah, like when I'm
not that normie because I know some memes.
Yeah,
I am on the receiving end of many memes.
Yeah, so, but like memetics is the culture.
So going back to that, do you think that memes are the answer? Like just pure ridicule, comedy, culture, that's what's going to crush
Not only that, to signal to them that they're out of touch with the rest of people. So people who are like, oh, I'm conservative.
But are they? Aren't most people like urbanite libtards?
Yeah.
Most people are, right?
Well, yeah. Well, at least half. Look at how Alberta votes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
What has to happen is all like, granted there's maybe 20 people who listen to this, but every single one of them, and every single one of their family members has to get on Twitter, follow the right fucking people, and shit the place up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like anytime somebody...
So I've got another theory though, because I always thought this was kind of funny. Look at Lord Nikon.
Yeah,
it's just a great example.
Yeah,
common Twitter neckbeard that just has like Twitter outrage about every part-time musician, part-time complainer. Yeah, and that's all he does.
Yeah,
probably doesn't have very many friends. Probably just sits on Twitter.
I don't know much about him. I
don't know. I'm postulating. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'm kind of making.
I can make some assumptions.
Yeah. So I just take your average like Twitter troll.
Yeah.
Overweight neckbeard, mom's basement. I got a lot of time to I got 3 monitors, so Twitter's always open on one, and I'm shit talking.
I associate. No, a
lot of the reasoned, rational people that I know, they're successful. They're not sitting on Twitter.
Well, so they don't have the dopamine they don't have the ability to be hacked by Twitter. Because it's basically this weird dopamine refresh, like social reinforcement concept.
With likes, retweets, it's and all social media is similar in a way.
Yeah, so a lot of conservatives tend not to have that weird degenerate dopamine compulsion.
So Twitter's just a bunch of degenerates and they all happen to be lefties.
I mean, there's a strong prevalence. Like if you're selecting for these kinds of traits, it seems to work very well there because they
can give hot takes. Like the platform is conducive to their platitudinal hot take bullshit.
Yeah, dude. Like
they don't have to explain anything.
I couldn't get through a full episode without bitching about Corey Morgan.
Who's Corey Morgan?
He's the boomer con at fucking Western Standard. Like
He comes up in mine every now. Is he as bad as Don Braid? When Lord Nikon grows up, he's gonna be Don Braid.
No, he's I don't know, like you can tell when he's on one. It's like 10:30 or 11. It's like real boomer hours. Like it's like you should be in bed right now, big guy. And he's just like he'll just put out some like platitudes, and I'm like, what are you fucking doing?
Some mid-tier, like, I don't know, I don't want to be too extreme. I'm like he's basically like an Aaron O'Toole.
Yeah. Like he's just like, and I'm like, fuck, this is Calgary based. And like Western Standard used to mean something, dude.
Yeah, it was kind of like the base of the reform.
They published the fucking Mohammed cartoon, dude. Like Ezra Levant threw a fucking aneurysm at a fucking human rights commission.
And that was legendary. But do you not think
Western Standard? Yeah, the name means something.
Do you not think that the rebel has like basically? I mean, it's Ezra Levant. He's taken up that flag.
Yeah.
Do you not think that like the spirit continues in the rebel?
It has been transferred. However, I do think there are fundamental problems with the rebel that are a byproduct of its size. There's some dirty work that you have to do in order to have rebel reporters in Australia. Okay? There's some dirty work that you got to do in order to have branches.
Okay, well, what about like Fox? I mean, they're massive.
Yep.
Do you think they're just like a mouthpiece for the Republican Party, though? Or do you think they're like genuine, like liberty?
I think there was an ideological route that was conducive to a particular side and a gap in the market.
Okay, so by the same token, like CNN, do you think it's kind of like
or like GBN or like there's a market out there?
Yeah.
And there's people that want to have news that they find interesting, and they want to be catered to.
Here's a question: do you think that Poilievre is going to do away with? Okay, first of all, do you think he's going to defund the CBC?
He says it just like every conservative.
They all say it.
They all say it, and the answer is no.
I mean, well,
I don't have faith that he's
defund is a sliding scale, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they always get more money. So like defunding could even being just not giving them more money. But yeah. I actually
and so we're talking about the abolishment of federal taxpayer dollars going to CBC as an organization.
Oh, no, so that's
fucking
that
no.
isn't. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But do you think he'll give them less money?
Yes.
Okay, so that's defunding. No, you're talking about there's a difference between privatization and defunding. Defunding means giving less funds.
Well, what do we talk about when we talk about defunding the police?
Like reducing
remove the money that is being associated with the police. It's not just like not giving them more. It's taking some away.
Well, taking some. Is it taking some or taking all?
I think in some cases people that's why it's a beautiful slogan, because it means you can both say the truth and what is actually achievable.
And does this feed into like the language war that is happening, unbeknownst to most people who are like, oh yeah, diversity, inclusion, and equity? Like, that sounds like great, but they don't mean that.
Yeah. No, so defund is one of those ones. But will he take money away from CBC? Yes, I think some of it.
Will he take money away from like Global and CTV?
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
I mean,
I think that
do you think any politician can like resist the urge to be like, now you're working for me?
No, cast it into the fire. And he's like, no.
Now you're working for me.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll happen? Or,
I don't think he can, because the ideology is like the momentum of progressivism is too strong for someone who is ideologically, one would assume, opposed to it to come in and like rein it in and flip it on its axis. That doesn't happen. What he can do is start giving money to the rebel. Do you know what I'm saying? Like He'd be like, hey, you guys should apply for fucking X status so I can give you fucking money. And TCN or True North or like any of these other orgs are like, guys, do you want some money? Because it seems like
I think right now anyone can apply.
Yeah. So he's like, my new initiative. So like Harper did this too, something to do with periodicals or something like that. So you can go like, look, if you're a journalistic organization here that traditionally has met the criteria of X, Y, or Z, and I'm developing the board that determines the criteria. If it meets this criteria, they're available for certain funds. Turns out CTV, Global News, CBC, all these other ones didn't meet our criteria. You guys who are independents, who have staff under 50, who have existed as a journalist organization for more than 5 years, turns out you're available for a one-time recurring payment of
I don't know if Polyev will do that. Like I kind of sense
it's too long term because I don't actually believe him to be an ideologically motivated individual. He's not a true believer.
You don't think so?
Which is a good thing, because it might mean that he's actually more pragmatic than people give him credit for.
So do you think Harper was pragmatic or ideological?
I actually think that Harper was ideological. I think he had a way of looking at the world, and he like applied it to all things.
Even in the produce department at Sobeys in Northwest Calgary.
He's just like, no, groom.
I don't eat brown bananas.
I only buy, he's like, I only buy Californian grapes, or I only buy produce produced in Alberta.
What? No ambrosia apples? I'm out of here. We're done.
Macintosh. Oh, fuck.
So, like, what percentage of the human race do you think is actually, like, responsible for, like, the majority of the production?
20%.
Like, it's pretty small, right? Is it kind of like the 80-20 rule?
Yeah. I think it's definitely an 80-20 thing. But, like, anytime you have to make a guess at something so weird,
you're going to be talking generalizations. So where do you think that Lord Nikon fits on the scale of productivity?
He's what do you consider productive?
I don't know. Like, if you eat Captain Crunch 9 times a day, are you producing or consuming?
He's a consumer.
Well, he's producing farts.
He's a consumer for sure. Well, he's consuming farts. Let's be fair. He's both producing and consuming. He's what, like he's part of the kind of recycle economy of farts.
So he consumes somebody else's fart and he produces music inspired by the vibe of the fart that he consumes.
When you listen to a Nikon song, you're not consuming his idea. He's the culmination of all the trash that he consumed.
So like when you walk by a landfill, that fucking weird smell that you smell.
Yeah, it's hot garbage is a distinct,
but it's deeper than that.
Regular garbage.
The Lord Nikon is not just a man. He's a state of mind, a state of being, if you will.
He is the internet version of a beardo.
He's a
beardo.
Oh, he is a beardo.
Yeah.
Oh, he's totally a beardo.
Yeah.
He is like, maybe not the original beardo, but do you think he knows he's a beardo? Do you think that's what breeds the resentment?
Yeah. Like he knows he could be more than a beardo.
But he can't escape the beard.
Yeah.
So he's confined by the boundaries of the beard.
Yeah, nothing is more torturous to the soul to know that one could be better than themselves, but they simply lack the grit or the ability, like the will. The lacking of will is what creates derangement.
And derangement is the fundamental characteristic of the beardo.
Yeah. Like the just like, you could do some push-ups. And you're like, well, I don't want to. You're like, you could
I still have a quarter of a box of Golden Grams up in the cupboard.
Yeah, like, dude, we all struggle with not being ham beasts.
This bowl, I think I have a salad bowl in the cupboard as well.
But we're not, we're not to be righteous in one's own mediocrity and to,
that was deep.
Yeah, to argue that is a valid point. You'd be like, well, some people don't think I'm mediocre. And it's just like, yeah, but like a lot of people do. If the spark was there, you could find it. Like, just don't be a piece of shit while you find it. Like, do you think there's brilliance in all people?
I don't know that, and that's what I was just getting into that. Like, you know, you kind of talk about like hierarchies and everything, and how there's like, there seems to be like a natural elite that kind of rises to the top.
There absolutely is.
And I guess my I kind of believe in the potential of the human being to like overcome the inner beard. Because, I mean, fundamentally, I think, you know, we're all just smart monkeys. And did I ever tell you about that, like, you know, the, like, control your compulsions, like, monkey that...
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think we're all that monkey. And what makes humanity wonderful is the ability to overcome our animalistic compulsions to just be a degenerate jerking off in front of a computer all day.
It was like the... when the monkey is offered the choice between the photo of the hot girl and the banana, he chooses the photo of the girl.
Well, so I mean, I guess this is the whole thing, is we're bound by the confines of our primordial past, I suppose. But why is it that so few people rise to the top of you know, like the scale of production?
Because certain structures or systems have values that are placed within them that are by nature
restrictive,
discriminatory, like extremely discriminatory. So people are just like, CEOs are all bad people. And it's just like 90% of them are over 6'3". 90% of them
weigh like 160 pounds and are just jacked.
Yeah, like they're people that are equipped, who are driven. Like, being driven is even rarer. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
dude, like, what are you planning to do tomorrow? Like, nothing. I'm gonna do nothing tomorrow. Like, I am not.
But I think everybody, and this is the whole thing, is like, I think that deep down we've all got that inner beard that's like, you should just sit on the couch tomorrow. Wouldn't that be nice?
Just an anchor beard. But okay, what I wanted to ask was, is there a universe where you are a fan of Lord Nikon?
Yes. Like, it's the metaverse. If I ever meet...
But like,
for me...
Can he ever have it in him to have the appreciation of his peers? Like, is there something he could do? Is there music that is like, even you're like, oh, you're such a fucking like, you're such a beardo. But can he ever make music that is so good that you have to overlook beardo? Can he, you know, like,
can he,
where it's not a failing of you, where you're just like, oh, I don't like beardo.
I don't like beardo. You could be Beethoven and I'm not going to listen to you.
Like,
but it's reciprocal, right? Because by the same token, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. If they're a Nazi, not going to listen to them.
You know, like, people still play Ride of the Valkyries. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Huge Nazi.
Oh, was that like Werner or whatever?
Yeah.
Or whatever his name was? Well, this is the whole thing.
Triumph of the Will. Like, yeah. Like, Nazi music. Guess what? Like, when you listen to fucking Flight of the Valkyries, that's some Nazi shit.
Jesus.
Believe it or not, dude. And guess what? Shit's still fucking...
It hasn't been canceled.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's canceled now.
Well, yeah. But like...
Well, I mean, here's I guess I understand what you're saying. Like, I think within every CEO, there's the beard that lies within.
He's just keeping it down, just like
and it's just the total suppression. Like, I could just stay at home and like, watch reruns of like The Office all day. But then he's like, oh, wait a second, I have a compulsion to go and like change the universe.
I gotta go. Yeah, like I gotta go work out and fucking make $1 billion and have a yacht.
But I don't think that within every beard there is a
CEO,
CEO just
trying
getting
to get
suppressed. I just think that some people lack the time preference and like all the rest of those like kind of performative qualities to suppress the beard within.
Yeah. I feel like at best I could achieve goatee status.
Oh, I'm sporting a pretty good mustache.
Yeah.
And every now and again it gets unruly.
Like a guy who's been away in the jungle for a couple, where you're just like
comes back and you go, oh my god, this is getting out of hand.
First thing you do is trim it up. But like,
I've been playing Sea of Thieves for 8 hours straight.
Oh my god, I beat off 3 times today. What the fuck?
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm just kind of curious as to why it's not. Well, and I mean, who knows? Maybe that's just a function of humanity.
I think I don't know, but like there's things that non-beardo parents instill in their children to explain how to avoid being a beardo. They're like, look, hang out with non-beardos. They're not all great people, but like most of the time, they won't tolerate you growing a beard.
It's so funny because when I was younger, I hung out with beards.
Yeah,
and I started to grow my own beard. I didn't know it at the time. I had a smooth face, but like I've always said, a beard is a state of. I had a beard growing in my brain.
Yeah, like the phantom beard.
It totally was a phantom beard. And when I shaved my beard and went out into the world and discovered that there was people out there who were beardless.
That there was a beard to begin with.
That's right. When I discovered the beard and acknowledged the beard within.
The beard within.
Like I actually noticed, like, I mean, there's a lot of people who are motivated, who aren't just total douchebags. Like and this is another thing that kind of bothers me about, the cancel culture and everything. It's become fashionable to, think that anybody that has any modicum of motivation is just like a sinister, selfish piece of shit that's just trying to ruin the world.
Yeah, it's just like, look, dude, someone's got to be the captain. Like, there's no way around it. Someone's got to be the captain.
That's right.
And like, do you want to steer this ship?
No, then
I don't fucking.
And
I don't.
This is the problem. That
I'm an oarsman at best, and like that's my job.
I'm ship's cook.
I pull this. I row.
I brew the grog.
Yeah, like everybody's got their jobs, but like to take an honest assessment of your own ability, and it's not just ability, but your own aptitude to be captain. Like maybe you got the right.
Every
stuff.
ship has a Gibbons. Gibbons, come on, man! You can't leave the desk like that.
He's fucking dead.
Gibbons, come on, man.
Dude, that's too deep of a cut for most people. Aren't going to realize what's going on.
People will. There's a couple people out there who will get the Gibbons thing right away.
So like somebody's got to watch the desk. Not everybody can be the CEO that's gonna, or like the crazy genius that's gonna fucking like bring about Judgment Day.
Well, the guy can't run the company without the dude operating the desk.
Yeah, and like the thing is, you don't always have to rock the desk. Okay, you might be destined for not being, murdered by a fucking murder robot in the fucking bathroom. You don't have to run security, but you can't hate these other guys. And like, yeah, it's weird.
Do you think historically speaking, because it's so hard to like kind of conceptualize what like like let's say we lived in like 1750.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're just two beards hanging out, or like we're like plowshares or something.
1750, and we'd be saying that we need to go to sea to like make our fortune.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think that, I mean, or even like going back to the caveman days, or like just pick a time period, do you think that there's always like have-nots that just want to take down the haves? Is that a human universal? Because have-nots and haves
I think trying to take down the haves was basically to become a have. And I don't think that's what's happening anymore all the time. I think there's an ideological like
sabotage
basis. No, punishment. I think there's an ideological like compulsion to punish those who have, not based on their worth, not based on their actions, but the actual being of having that they should not have.
But here's the problem. So you're the resentful, angry beard that wants to punish the have.
As in, like, all should have the beard.
Oh, so it's the virus of trying to be like, you should have a beard as well. We're the same, you and me.
Why do you think you're too good for the beard? No one man should have so little beard.
But do you think that
if we all had a little beard, things would be better? And then that would be the argument. Like, we got to distribute beards among the people so all have equal beards. And none may be clean shaven. Because this is only fair. And the argument, I think it's gone beyond that. I think it's actual content for the clean shaven.
Like just content.
It's just like, I don't even want your stuff. It'd be nice to have your stuff so that none may want for a beard. But the punishment of the audacity to be beardless.
So it's basically, it's the punishment of those who want to achieve.
Yeah.
Punishment of achievers.
Yeah. And I don't even think they want their shit anymore. They're like, yeah, it'd be nice to have all this stuff. But it is unacceptable for you to have things and to want things.
I wonder if they see achievers as evil.
They see them as corrupt betrayers.
And do you think this feeds into like the, kind of just like the classic like Marxist ideology? Or do you think
it's gone deeper? It's not about bettering those around them. Because you can make the argument, they're like, look, man, each according to their need, bro. Like, let's
help the people.
Let's spread the wealth. And it's just like, you don't understand, like, altruism for like non in-group people does exist. However, like, it only became fashionable at a certain point in time. Like,
but altruism isn't, I mean, it's
okay, I'll replace it with something that won't get us down.
No, but
the good of the people. Right?
It's no long. I think you're right. It's no longer about the good of the people.
Yeah.
It's take down the rich.
Yeah. Punish them.
It's destroy.
Yeah. And it's not even about the acquisition of their stuff or the betterment of people around them.
It's just trash them.
Hate for those who have achieved.
And that's what's so disturbing is the people that are like anti-hate are the most hateful of all.
That sounds like a Corey Morgan 1030 take. I think that's it, but it's like, it is deeper. Like there's a, like, are they loathing that part of themselves in others? Do you know what I mean? Like the John Wayne Gacy who must kill the homosexuals around him from his repressed gayness. They're like, deep down, there's a beardless guy in Lord Nikon. Maybe. And he wants to fucking destroy anyone who is clean shaven because he hates that part of himself because he can't fulfill it. He doesn't have the will to shave. It's so much easier to grow the beard.
It's so much easier to just grow the beard.
And they're like, why am I so pathetic that I can't shave? Like, look at this clean shaven guy over here. I fucking hate him.
I fucking hate him.
Yeah. You're just like, look, dude, I'm just trying to get a fucking cleanup.
This is just a microcosm of the greater problems of the human condition.
I don't know, but like it seems to have, because I would buy into that. Other people are like, look, we gotta help the poor, we gotta help the needy, we gotta help the people around us. And at some point, it became like we gotta help this very, very small percentage of people because they're suffering. It's just like, look, man, like, yeah, I know it might be very, very difficult for people to be transgender and have gender dysphoria and like have these problems. Yeah, we should probably be kinder to people and maybe not be as rigid in the way that we approach certain ideologies. Yeah, maybe that's worth a discussion. I mean, you know, there are people that are potentially being hurt here. But at some point, they're like, by the way, this is more important than fucking poverty.
I wonder if like
drug addiction and like wiping out millions of people with fucking, you know, fentanyl and getting hooked on, like, fuck them. I don't care. I only care about this portion of people. And unfortunately, I am too clean shaven to give a fuck about those people. I care about the fucking poor and homeless a lot more than I do like a small segment of people. I gotta hit the big targets. I care specifically about the enrichment of all the people around me. I want them fed, employed, wealthy, doing well.
I would say that most people, or at least I'd like to think that most people are kind of like, oh yeah, I just want what's best for everybody. But, oh, I'm a conservative. I think, you know, these like minarchist policies and like, you know, deregulation, that's the best way. And like Nikon's probably like, well, we just got to like murder all of the rich people and like.
Then we'll all have beards.
You know, we got to kill all the Nazis and then like that'll be what's best for everybody.
Yeah. And like, I have bigger enemies than Nazis.
Oh yeah, big time.
You know,
well, Nazis aren't real.
Nazis can and do exist, but I don't think that people's understanding of Nazis and fascism is up to snuff with what reality is, and there are real deep fucking problems. I can't stand people who care about climate emergencies when there's fucking homeless people.
Yeah, that pisses me off.
Okay, so let's figure that out.
Like the green bin brigade.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, we got to worry about this foreign aid.
We got to fucking compost, man. Like, without the compost, we're all gonna die.
It's like, yeah, you know, like maybe we should have a green bin, but maybe we shouldn't cut our garbage service in half to accommodate the green bin.
Oh, it's fucking crazy.
Or how about you let me sell my how about you like invest in a company that is actually able to take that fucking mulch and make it into a viable product and sell it. Like let's
fucking hate green bins.
What
do you hate more? Green bins or Don Braid?
Don Braid here with another quick take. Just a hot take for your...
Conservatives are in trouble again due to racist inner tendencies within the party. Don Braid.
Pierre Poilievre has a Nazi problem. Don Braid.
Pierre Poilievre is really Hitler. Don Braid.
You know who else who had to PP is basically HH.
Yeah, honk honk means Heil Hitler.
Yeah, PP, Hail Hitler kind of lines up. I'm going to, honestly,
I like giving my money to an anti-racist guy who turns out to be a raging anti-Semitic.
Oh, dude, I actually kind of respect him.
He fooled everybody.
He's dude, when it comes to grift, I can't hate him.
Oh, he's beyond reproach.
Yeah. I used to have contempt for people who bilk the government.
Okay, here's a question. Who do you think would win in a boxing match? Kim.com or Michael Moore?
Oh, Kim.com, easy.
He'd fucking slay him, eh?
Yeah, Kim.com has been...
He's got the rage, man.
He's also, I feel like he has had so many Ukrainian whores. Like,
Do you think he's a nice guy?
Kim.com? Yeah, I bet he's fucking super nice.
Do you think he gives out hugs?
He might be a hugger.
I bet he is, man.
I think he knows how to be a bro. Something about him tells me he understands that life is worth living.
I like his song where he's on the yacht.